Welcome to the WTF Forum. The hosts do not give financial, legal, medical or any kind of advice. Opinions are their own. This broadcast contains foul language and dangerous ideas. If you need a trigger warning, you are in the wrong place. Now enjoy the show.
Dear partners and friends of
What the fuck?
Forum, a very cordial welcome.
The WTF Forum is a decentralized broadcast network with no governing body of any kind, and is produced and distributed by a loosely affiliated, ever-growing network of rogue, independent content creators. This forum does not, will not, and shall not have any one location, feed, platform, or channel, but shall be shared and multiplied as nature dictates. If any listener of the following proceedings finds themselves offended, they will be asked kindly to go fuck themselves. All right, what the fuck's up, everybody? How we doing? It is another great night for a forum. I've got a fire going in the wood stove, and it's raining outside, and there's no people I'd rather be with than y'all. So thanks for everybody who was able to make it. I am Mike the Polymath, Easy Peasy Podcast, and I will pass it around the circle to OG Dadbod.
OG Dadbod 1, a whole lot of nothing podcast. I'm going to pass it over to Ashley.
Hey, it's Ashley / Think Change Repeat. I am here with my podmate, Stella Q, and I'm happy to be here with you people as well. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm always happy to be here with you guys too. Absolutely. I'm here with my pet Currawong too, by the way. Hope it doesn't cause too much trouble. Over to you, Bear Snare.
Hey, I'm Bear Snare, thebearsnare.com, and my Friends Hate Freedom podcast. And tonight looks like it's might be a fun chat and a good one. And we've got some great feedback on some of our recent episodes. So go, Ando.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Ando, Burn, Babylon, Burn, and the Doom Kitchen. Glad to be here, as usual.
We have gotten some good feedback lately. In fact, I went to my local No Agenda meetup today, and I sat down with this guy, and he's like, bro, I missed the last couple of meetups, so it's been maybe 3 months since I've seen this group of folks. And he's like, I've been listening to the forum, man. Now, he was ashamed to admit that he listens at 1.75. But, I guess his brain just works quicker than mine. I'm like, I don't know how y'all do it, but
I listen at double speed, dude.
You're crazy,
Times
man.
Two.
Y'all are
2.5 in some
crazy.
cases. Yeah.
I'm a
It
pod
depends.
speeder. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm a pod speeder.
Oh, yeah, everybody is. I mean, time is short. But I can tell you what, Henry Kissinger sounds normal at times too.
Well, maybe I do too.
He talks very slowly, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's so painful.
I can't do it. It makes me anxious. I can't. But this fella, he was very positive.
You're just chill.
Yeah, I guess so.
Mike, you're like tubing down the river. That's like hanging out with Mike Whistler. We're tubing down the river. Yeah.
Ideally, man. That sounds great. Let's go.
Yeah.
I got to go in the ocean. Just got back from the beach today.
Nice.
Yeah.
How was the water?
That's unrelated to all of the subjects we're going to talk about, probably.
Fuck it.
Fuck
little, catch up with our
just catching up, right?
Yeah. The forum. We're not above a little bit of small talk. We mostly do real big talk, but small talk's cool sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I just feel like you guys are my friends, and it's nice to catch up, right?
Amen to that. Amen.
I like hearing about your days.
Mm-hmm. It's been fun, like with
I'm
the
bad at
chat,
bringing actual subjects, so it's what I bring.
the personal stuff. But no, like with the chat, it was cool seeing you, Stella, and your mom go to the Air Force Museum, and these little updates are fun. It's cool to we're not just people on the internet. We're actual people too.
Yeah, no, that's
Right.
good. I sort of thought somebody might enjoy the whole aviation thing. I mean, it's not exactly Washington, it's Evans Head, but never mind. I thought it was pretty good. Had
It's
an
funny,
F-111 there.
it's funny, Stella. The guy I was talking to, he's like, so actually he was kind of astonished that I know you because he listens to Propaganda Report and has
Oh,
for
right.
quite some time. He's
Hey.
like, how the hell did you get to know Stella Q? And I'm like, I don't fucking know, dude. Like this guy Ando.
Ando connected us all.
Yeah. Yes.
But I will tell you, Stella, I think he's got a
Sweet.
little bit of he's got a crush on you now. He's like, do
Oh.
you know? He's like, do
I'm
you know what she
available.
looks like? I go,
Yeah, I
bro.
look like my avatar.
I don't know what she looks like. She
I'm a
keeps
walking
it on
comic.
the
I
on
think
the
she's in
lowdown.
some of her music videos, right? The
There's
live
one picture
performances
if you
on
look really
YouTube.
hard.
What's that?
There's one picture of me on there if you look really hard on the internet, but good luck. Good luck finding anything about me much on the internet.
Yeah.
You won't.
I like
Well,
imagining what Stella looks like.
It's much better to imagine.
Well, I was joking with the guy. I'm like, yeah, the funny thing is she just, sent these pictures of, going to the Air Force Museum or whatever. And she shared a picture of her mom. I'm like, so now I know what her mom looks like.
I know what they say.
Yeah, the
I just
apple
wanted
doesn't
to
fall
verify
far.
that. I wanted to verify that was my mum and not me. I just thought that was important.
Yeah.
Because
funny.
she's 86.
But you have at least one fan that I have met personally, Stella. So
I'm
it's pretty cool.
absolutely wrapped, and much love to that fan.
Yep, he's a good dude. He is.
Yeah,
It's
excellent.
awesome that you've been going to those no agenda meetups.
Yeah,
man. It's an eclectic bunch of motherfuckers, dude. Like really cool people. You can tell everybody's got a certain degree of autism, but usually not too bad.
Isn't that every one of us? Like literally all. I mean, maybe we should start another podcast called "All My Friends Have Autism."
Right. It's probably been done. if I
Guys,
had to
I'm
guess.
like the least autistic person in my family.
It makes it interesting.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I don't have
Go
the
ahead.
tism. I just have something. But I don't have
some mild personality disorder. I don't know.
something.
It's a prerequisite to be in this group, I think.
Hey, you said you like to spurg out, Ando, so there's a hint, a light seasoning.
Yeah. Everybody spurgs out from time to time, but I mean,
Little splash of tard.
there's some people that make it their way of life. Oh, definitely a splash of tard. There's a big, splash of tard in there.
I think I've got some of that.
Well, they say
Definitely.
autism is a spectrum, which means everybody's on it somewhere, right? Kind of like sexuality.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
And he's
gender.
normal.
Don't forget about gender now.
Well, that might be a good transition if y'all are ready to get into the first topic I thought we'd kick it off with. This is kind of a comparative analysis of men and women surviving in the wilderness. Okay, I shared this in the chat, so maybe some of you saw it, but I thought this was pretty damn funny. Now I'll say, I mean absolutely no offense to any of the women in the forum or in our audience. This was just sort of hilarious, and I think it's a good way of framing a greater conversation. So I thought it would be a good place to start. What do you guys say? Should we just roll with it?
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. All right. Apparently this was like a Bear Grylls show. I don't know when it aired, but it's called Survival Island. And this is kind of a compilation video that somebody put together. And like I said, I just thought it was pretty funny. So we'll start with this and we'll take it from there.
That's being an IWWDNNM.
What?
An independent woman who don't need no man.
Meanwhile,
the expedition party has spent all day in the searing heat, only to find they've walked in one big circle. back to cope.
How the fuck did that happen? I don't even understand. We cannot walk anywhere on this island without getting lost.
Let's rock and roll, boys! Let's rock and roll! I think we made it! Let's go! Let's go! Oh, this is exciting. Yes!
Why is it you're so adamant you're right all
Just
the time?
hold on.
Dismissing everybody else.
Listen, I am
Second one, boys, and the third ball fits 7. Fuck off! I'm telling you,
It's fucking brilliant.
Party.
Okay, well, where are we going now? Where are we going now?
Just
No
keep
more
going
confrontation or
straight.
arguing.
I don't want to lead. I'm sorry, I don't want to lead this group. I don't want to.
What the fuck?
I can't fucking deal with this.
The women have circled back to Coconut Beach for a second time. Having pushed through the jungle for 2 days, they're not one step closer.
Nice one, brilliant.
For the moment, absolutely buzzing. Yeah, definitely feel like a tribe on a hunt.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Everyone's come out prepared.
You really need to know how I'm feeling.
I feel fine. Another day at the office.
It's probably
Come on. Raise them.
This guy.
I feel really good, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh my god, that's
Yeah, it's enormous.
It's watching us. No.
Though potentially deadly to humans, a crocodile of this size could provide tens of thousands of calories for the women, who have barely eaten in days. The women decide to walk away from this potentially life-saving feast.
That shifty little bastard's got closer, hasn't he? He's not scared of us. Fucking bastard. Look at me. Look at me. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
You're in.
Here we go, puppy dog.
Yes.
Go. Get in there, boy.
Okay, I just got to pause it there. We can keep watching it, but it's so funny. For the listener, what we're watching here is, like I said, this like Bear Grylls reality TV show where essentially I think they're on the same island at different times, but it's a group of men and a group of women, and this compilation is kind of chopped together just to probably exaggerate the facts of the matter. But to me, it's so funny because like men fantasize about doing this shit, and no wonder they fucking they like, given the opportunity, just relish the opportunity, right? And they kind of kicked ass. The men, they captured a fucking alligator, they cooked it, they ate it, versus the women who would prefer not to deal with an alligator, right? And I'm not bringing this up to make it seem like women are weak, right? That is not my point. My point in bringing this up is one of my issues with maybe some of the propaganda that's been coming out lately. I have a little bit of a problem with the fact that Israel has compulsory military service for women. And maybe I'll leave it at that and see what thoughts y'all have. But it's my opinion that if you want to be Joan of Arc and join the military and be a bad bitch that kills people, by all means. But the average woman, in my opinion, does not want that. I think that by nature, men are destroyers and women are nurturers in many ways. Now, is that an overgeneralization, or what do y'all think?
Well, you understanding what like a service job is, it's not all, get out and shoot and kill and whatever. A lot of they're doing a lot of everything's like really just a job. So, there's jobs that women can do, obviously. Maybe they shouldn't be, but they do them. So
I wonder about with the compulsory military service, if they actually are deployed, like if they actually go to fighting positions. I recently heard that the U.S. Army, even though, man, I can't remember what it is, they've got like 500,000 troops, but only 19,000 deployable soldiers, like on the ground soldiers, and everyone else is just part of the fucking bureaucracy of it.
Yeah, they just signed up so that they could get their trans surgery.
For free, yep.
Do they do that in Israel, or is that just here? I don't know.
Well, I think a lot of them, or I shouldn't say a lot, I think some of them get transed because it makes them undeployable and they don't want to be deployed.
Yes, and it also exempts them from PT. But that I'm referencing here in the States. The transgender people. Not, I don't know about the
Right,
Israeli
yeah,
army.
sorry, that's
Yeah.
all in the US, not Israel.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about how they do it.
And the other thing is, like Mike was saying about if they join the military so they can pay for their trans surgery, maybe. But the trans drugs come from pharmaceutical companies in Israel. So I think that's an interesting little
Great
tidbit
point.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is a trans
And
community
I
in
wonder-
Israel. I'm fairly certain I've seen
I wonder how big it is.
footage.
Because, you know, like I know that Tel Aviv's the gayest city in the world, but I wonder how much they are with the trans stuff, because yeah, usually they're immune to their own poisons, and they really are the people that are like responsible for propagating this trans shit. I mean, the whole ideology behind it, and the medicine that goes into it, and the surgery, and let's see, you know, let's not forget about Magnus Hirschfeld, whose trans laboratory was burned down in Nazi Germany. So that was, you know, he had all the research. This is something that they came from them.
I can't be the only one who's got a problem with compulsory military service. Can I?
No.
I absolutely have a problem with that.
100%.
But to me, it's like, especially for women. This is my point. Like, so with all this news, and you know, some of which I think is certainly propaganda, you know, there is a clear distinction in, I guess they call it like civilian casualties, but historically speaking, it's like, leave the women and children alone, right? Now, civilian casualties could mean non-combatant men, but like, it shouldn't be freaking rocket science to say that there is a difference between men and women, right? And
For sure.
and
Are
that
you
women-
sure about that?
Well, it seems like pretty common sense to me, but it's like, there's a reason that people say, like, you know, leave the women and children out of it, let men fight men, and like, women and children deserve to be protected, right? Like, that's kind of, you know, with this survival video, I'm like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, if this was a functional tribe that was mixed, right, that was not men and women separate, but sort of together, I would like to see a reality show where they did this, where it's like, all right, drop 20 men and women together on a beach and see what naturally sort of happens. I'm thinking about 3 or 4 days in, when those men capture that freaking alligator and skewer it and cook it, they are gonna get laid that night. You know what I mean? Because the women are like, fuck yeah, you brought us fucking protein. Like, here's what you get in return.
Dude, hunters are hot.
Yeah. And like, men want to do that for women, right? I do. Like, I think
Yeah, that's the natural order right there. That's
While we put berries into your mouth.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get back to those. I don't identify with any of those women in any way, shape, or form. Just wanted to make that very clear. I think I think they selectively cast those useless, dumb broads.
Whiny bitches.
Yeah, definitely. And there was probably quite a few personality clash situations going on there, which would have been very cleverly selected. But look, there's nothing like a good crocodile dive, is there, to form a forever bonding moment with a few blokes?
Yeah. It just cracks me up. All the guys being like, yeah, and all the women being like, no. no.
They'll
So
always high five each other over that.
I will say that I would 100% be one of those bitches because if I'm somewhere that I don't have a fucking clue where I'm at, and I'm like in a jungle, and I'm like getting, bit by mosquitoes and stuff like that. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you don't feed me for 4 fucking days, and I'm awful with directions, and I'm with a bunch of other whiny bitches. Yes, I'm gonna be one of those people.
It cracks me up where they're like, where are we going? And one of them just goes, keep walking straight. Like they're in a jungle. There is no straight line. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, exactly. They clearly have absolutely no sense of direction. How they could have looped is beyond me. I mean, can't they see where the sun is at least?
I would like to think that I could come up with something that would not get me lost, but I have to be real. I'm the worst. Anybody in my life will tell you I have no sense of direction. I'm horrible with directions. I do know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, so maybe
So you need.
That's a start. That's a start.
But I'm watching this and I'm like, oh my God, that's so true. I would be one of these awful people.
I mean, how useless were they? I'd like to point out that those women
Here's
were in
the
a
thing.
prime. They were in a prime spot to throw a rock on that crocodile's head. I mean, they missed a really beautiful opportunity there. Not that I, advocate for animal cruelty or anything, but when you're hungry, anything goes.
Hungry. Yeah.
So men get lost just as much as women do out and things like this. But the thing is, it's about committing to being lost, and women will commit to being lost and then, go back around in a big circle twice. But yeah, it's it's like whenever you recognize that, hey, something's wrong, I think men are more apt to pick up on that.
Yeah, I used to drive around before the days of GPS. I used to drive around in Philly and stuff, not really knowing where I was, but knowing that if I kept going in some general direction, then I would hit a road that I knew.
I actually,
Yep.
I love going out on my motorcycle with no real plan and getting halfway lost just for the challenge of figuring out how to get home,
Yeah.
So, I'm tempted to play the rest of this video. Any thoughts before I do? Because I just find this whole thing so funny, and it's not meant as like a full representation of what women or men are like. There's plenty of pussyfied men, and there's plenty of badass women, right? But but in a generalized sense, this is kind of funny to watch because it almost seems to me like men, unless they did selectively choose like men with prowess, I assume these are just your average kind of UK dudes. And they like kind of naturally go feral. There's some scenes in here where they are like they you can tell they are like going full cavemen. Like it's so awesome. Should we go on?
Yeah, why not?
Let's do it.
It's really hot.
Seriously, look how much meat there is on that bad boy. Yeah, boy.
This crocodile part is Turkey. The woman. Oh my God, it looks scary. Let's go back to the village. But for the men, looks like protein and meat is back on the menu, boys. And don't you guys just love it? How this survival island literally became a dystopia for women, but practically a utopia for men. Did the men actually forget that this is supposed to be a survivor show?
Fucking hours rearranging wet knickers and washing all around this camp. I'm squeezing it out. I'm hanging it up for you.
I've been biting my tongue all the time.
You don't want me.
Oh my God! Holy shit! Oh my God!
I'm so ill, but I just need to sleep. Like my throat, I can't swallow.
Enjoy the idyllic tropical sunshine. I think life isn't too bad after all.
We can't eat because we have no fire.
Let the feast begin, boys. Yes. Boys get stuck in, it's like chicken.
We have nothing to drink because we can't boil it to purify it and sterilize it.
Oh God, I feel like it's after Sunday dinner at home. Absolutely lovely.
We're really struggling, guys. Oh God, come on. Really.
Char grilled to smoky perfection. Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Come on. Let's go, Brandon.
That's just so nasty. We don't make fries today. We can do it tomorrow.
Cry into a glass.
21 little fishies for the dishes.
Legends have said, by the time the girls figured out how to boil water, the men have already flown a rocket ship into outer space, discovered and found the cure to AIDS and cancer, created the world's first flying car, the first to fly in an unidentified saucer. They discovered life on Mars, and they found Bigfoot. Legends have said that the girls are still bitching.
To this day! To this day!
Fucking joke. Everyone needs off here. I swear.
Bear Grylls. This survival program is a piece of fish. Look, it's just made. Well, way two.
A crock of this size could provide the men with
all kinds of games.
Sweet and satisfying.
We're just gonna go like 1 minute more. All right.
We get the point.
Yeah. Well, there's
So good.
there's another point. Just a
Coconut is
second.
incredible. One.
whole camp.
I'm looking at your urine results and things.
Yeah, and I'm looking at your weight charts and everything. And I'm looking at people whose kidney function is on a decline.
And I cannot stand by and let that decline continue. Now, there's no easy way to say this.
Yeah, you suck. No, you just fucking suck.
I'm teetering right on the brink of pulling you all off the island for medical reasons. Over.
All right, that's probably enough of that. You get the point, but
It's brutal.
It's brutal, man. It's brutal. All I'm saying is they would have done so much better if they were all together. I'm not trying to disparage women here by any means. There's, like I said, there's some badass women. It just seems like men naturally adapt to this kind of life, and I think men would feel even more satisfied if they were able to bring that crocodile home to their ladies, right?
Yeah, and the ladies could be useful. They could cook it up or whatever. Like,
sure,
in cooperation with the men, they could do the stuff that the men don't do.
Looks like the men are doing quite well by themselves, really.
Yeah. How long until they start fucking each other in the ass, though?
I think I would definitely be heading away from the women and looking for the blokes camp. Definitely.
Yeah.
I know what
Possible.
the problem is, though. Those women were doing their best Amelia Earhart impression. No, nobody. She got stranded on an island and then eaten by crabs.
Oh, that's the thing about her? I didn't know that.
Well, that's the theory, right? She went missing and went down on an island and nobody found her.
Amelia Earhart, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she probably drowned more than likely, but if who
I
knows?
thought they found her plane.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, I guess that must mean, Mike, that you think women should be able to drive, but that's a whole nother subject, isn't it?
Oh, we're in trouble now. I don't know. To me, this is just like, I just don't see. I don't see that we can ever be the same. Like I said, there's exceptions to every rule, but like, when it comes to, I'll take it back to military service again. I just don't think it's right to compel women who don't want to be killers to go out and be killers. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I see your point, and I actually think it's quite admirable that you're questioning it, because I haven't never really thought about it, because I've always put it in the camp of that's a completely different culture, so we can't look at it as our culture and what we would think or how we would judge it, because it's a completely different culture. And as I think Ando pointed out, it is, or somebody, Bear maybe, it's like going to just an everyday job. It's just part of life. It's part of the expectation. Let's face it, most people that I know that have been through service, even if it's just, just for a couple of years or whatever, have come out and they've all said it actually made them a better person. So there's that. There's the sort of the disciplinary thing, whereas, you look at some of the generations that are around now and, they're still living in mum's basement at 35 or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's got its benefits. I'm not fully against it if it's part of that culture, if that's just part of it. There's no reason why a woman can't stand there and hold a gun. Whether she wants to kill someone or not, that's up to her. She can always miss. But I think the actual action of going into it, I don't have a full-on problem with it, and as long as it's all as long as it's all okay and not like forced.
Yeah,
Like I said,
yeah. Like I don't have a problem with women being in the military, but they just have to be. They should be the ones who want to be there, like you said, voluntarily, and who are capable.
Joan of Arc, man, like she was one of the baddest chicks in history, right? And people didn't even know she was a woman. Like, anyways, I mean, that's just one example. We've also got,
Well, she had to dress like a man, or else she would have been just full on raped and everything, like immediately.
Right.
So,
and I always liked watching Xena Warrior Princess as a kid. That was a pretty cool show.
She was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hercules. I actually liked Hercules, just for the record.
I bet you did.
Yeah. So another thought is that, has Israel actually been to war other than bombing Palestinians, or has it been historically, and I don't know, I'm asking, like the United States to step in their stead? I know that they do have the compulsory military obligation, but do they ever actually use it? But, I don't
They're
know
mostly
the answer to that.
Doing like policing kind of things. They do have the United States fight all of their wars, and they're going to have them fight this next one, it looks like. So, I mean, that's just the way they operate.
Yeah, but I definitely think that obviously men and women are made differently, and there is some overlap of male to female. Sometimes, there are some women who are really into that stuff, and then there are some women that are much more of the nurturer side and could be a huge liability in a military situation. And I think just overall, let's say you look at a comparison of the creme de la creme of athletes, right? So you have males versus females. Well, females can't compete with males, period. You can be the best female in the world, but you are not going to be even cracking probably the top 500 of males in that particular sport. So I think that needs to be acknowledged, and it is just a fact, period. And someone like Leah Thomas, who was a male swimmer, who was ranked close to almost 500 in collegiate swimming, went from close to 500 in males in the country to number 1 in female swimming, right? So I think that there are some obvious discrepancies and strength and speed disparities that could be a huge liability. So it's a lot of different things to consider, but that they're different,
Yeah, and I'd just like it to be on the record too that I absolutely do not advocate for anyone to be in military service. Okay, so it's fully anti-war. I just wanted to get that on the record from what I said before.
So
there was a couple of blokes that took out the first and second in some cycling thing recently, women's event.
So OG just shared this in the chat. It says FC Dallas U15 boys squad. I assume this is in soccer, football if you don't live in the States, beats the U.S. women's national team in a scrimmage. So U15, as in, 14, 13-year-old boys beat the women's national team. Just for example, it's not, it's like that clip we watched last week or the week before with Neil DeGayas, where he's like, if the playing field's not even, then just even the playing field. And I'm like, what the fuck? Every soccer field I ever saw was flat. I don't know how you fix that. Like
that's that Harrison de Bergeron approach.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got a couple examples here of like what I think is sort of a perversion of what like men and women have become, right? And I'm not even talking about trans stuff. I'm talking about like this hyper empowered woman. Not that women shouldn't be empowered, but like to a point of toxicity versus the emasculated man, right? And these are both very, very short.
I call it girl bossery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, here, check this out. I just saw this today. This is like my least favorite kind of music. It's this like poppy country music. But the lyrics kind of speak for themselves.
You still swear to me that he's a catch. I don't know about all that. Why you throw him back? Pack up all your stuff and leave. Ain't gotta know much about fishing. I know there's plenty there in the sea. That boy's a catch and release.
All right, so yeah, boss bitch, you say he's a catch, but I say he's catch and release because I'm a boss bitch and I don't need no man.
Have fun, single mother at 35 and not having any kids till you're 40.
Mm-hmm.
I like how that ties in with the last video we watched. Kind of helps to know how to fish.
It doesn't. Amen.
Yeah, so you're saying this is a sort of the attitude that's being pushed?
Oh yeah, in my opinion, the hyper empowered woman versus here's the example of the totally emasculated man. And this guy thinks that he's like a social justice warrior. I don't know who shared this in the chat. Actually, I think it came from the Black Labs chat, but I copied and pasted it over. This is kind of funny.
Sir, hey, you're assaulting. That's assault there, buddy. If we did that to somebody, I know you'd be crying about it, right? Because you're called a hypocrite. You don't know how to be a man. You don't have any children, do you? You can't even take care of yourself, much less a child. You have no responsibility, no sense of virtue, no sense of masculinity. You've been emasculated. You don't know how to protect women. You don't know how to protect children. No, you don't. If we wanted to do something to this abortion clinic, you wouldn't stop us. We are restraining ourselves because we're law-abiding people. You guys are not restraining us in the least bit of way. You're not protecting this clinic, okay? You're a coward. You couldn't protect your way out of a paper bag. If we wanted to toss you down the hill, we'd toss you down the hill. And you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. It's the fact that we are self-disciplined men who actually restrain ourselves and abide by the law is the reason that you haven't gotten hurt today, because you're not a man. You're a coward. You're a little boy that has not grown up. You've been raised in a self-centered, materialistic, consumer-driven culture. All you know how to do is consume. You don't know how to take care of anybody. You don't know how to produce or build anything of value and substance. So I hope you grow up and become a man.
All right. So yeah, for the listener, the guy talking was not the subject of the video per se. It was somebody confronting this, basically what I gather, there was a two-sided protest at an abortion clinic, right? The pro-abortion people and the anti-abortion people. And this skinny, long-haired, I'm a skinny, long-haired dude. So, don't get me wrong. But the skinny, long-haired, with the mask on his face, clearly left-wing type dude is like actually touching and trying to block the other, anti-abortion protesters. And these guys just basically berate him for being a sissified male. And I can't disagree with anything that was said.
Yeah, I think this all goes under the banner of the feminine divine, which is coming back into play, of course. So the women are being pushed, and that's very much the case in the World Economic Forum agendas as well. The women are very much pushed there, so it's all part of that, I think.
Yes, I wanted to follow up with, I feel like this is the, maybe not the very end, but maybe it is the very end. Like whenever you have first wave and second wave feminism, especially second wave, that was so disruptive to the culture combined with a couple of other psyops, then this is the late stages of that, where you literally have men that want to become women. But these women it starts with telling them that promiscuity is empowering, not having a family, not having children is empowering, having a career and serving a boss is empowering, but serving your family is not empowering. And it's been very, very damaging to get us to this point where, yes, you do have like, yes, girl, I'm a boss bitch. Yes, queen, slay. Like that horrible, horrible culture is the result of that.
You say he's a catch, but I say catch and release.
Catch and release, bitch.
Yeah, you don't need him.
Exactly. The music becomes sort of like this hypnosis and kind of just, spills into all of the rest of the things and these ideas get in people's heads. Like you're living moments in your life and you hear some fucking pop song that's really probably telling you to do the wrong thing. And it's everywhere. You walk into places, there's music in the background, and music is completely used for propaganda's sake all the time.
Well, and it's no different than like all the rap songs where it's like, oh, fuck all these hoes, get as much pussy as you can, blah, blah. It's the same. It's from whichever side it's not good,
That's a really great point, because propaganda is often based, repeat anything and it becomes the truth. And look at the structure of a song. It's generally, not so much these days, but generally there's a formula. It's generally sort of verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. That's sort of the old format. So there's, 3 or 4 different repetitions of a chorus. So that, again, is like the hypnotic thing like you're talking about. So they use it.
And there are also very common chord progressions that are particularly appealing and work very well in pop. And they can be done to so many different rhythms and everything that you can write different songs. You could write infinite different songs using the same chord progression. So I don't know, it's related.
Yes, definitely is. And, if you want to take it to the real sciences, the frequency theories about different frequencies affect different moods. We've talked about it before. There's plenty of Google patents available, going back to the 50s, 60s of using frequencies to influence brains, to suggest things, to make people feel certain moods, to make certain biological things happen. So there's that. It's a science as well as entertainment. It's always under the guise of entertainment, isn't it? But it's their tools.
That's interesting because I went onto a United Nations page just earlier before we got on. I was looking for, Ando said he wanted to bring up Africa later, and I was looking to see like what I might find, and just this UN page that was actually one of their pages, I felt it immediately that there was some kind of, I don't know if it was with the light or whatever, some kind of frequency with it that was not like pleasant. It was strange.
Yeah, and I was going to say too that it knowing the amount of experimentation that has been done on humankind, it is possible that they have totally cracked the code on subliminal messaging as far as frequency and like cadence and pitch and all of this stuff. Like, it's very possible, or at least very close. Now, maybe it's similar to hypnosis. Like, some people are more susceptible to that, and like a lot of us here, or everyone here, we see what is happening. So maybe once sort of the veil has been lifted, it makes it more difficult for you, but it doesn't mean that you're not susceptible to an earworm. For example, we all remember Richmond, north of Richmond, right? And that was stuck in my head, even though this group was pretty much onto that from the beginning. At least the possibility that there was something suspect about it, right? So I think it's a really interesting thought that maybe they have totally cracked the code on that.
Well, and what did that song accomplish aside from sort of reinforcing a victim mentality among disenfranchised men?
Yes.
Who connected with the lyrics and with the tone, right? The angry, like screaming from the bottom of the, pyramid saying, why can't I get ahead in this world? And making it seem okay that you're stuck in a rut, that it's everybody's fault but yours.
Yeah, and I think that goes with what Owen Benjamin calls as the spell casting, like literally. And I think that our buddy Jen would go to he would agree with that, because he sees when people are casting spells and he's like, oh, that person's a wizard, 100%. But so Owen calls it, he is breaking spells, because he tells you, like, even people that I like, Tucker Carlson, for example, he said, but do you see what Tucker's doing here? He is making it sound like very similar to Richmond, north of Richmond, like reinforcing victim mentality, reinforcing the problems, but not the solutions, reinforcing the sort of downtrodden attitude, but not the positivity that we can still build in this system, that we can still survive and thrive in our current environment, especially knowing what they're up to. So I definitely think that that's part of it.
Yeah, and that's also part of it's okay to be helpless because we're here. We got you. You'll be right. We've got this. So you can rely on us. I think it was really, really interesting what you said, OG, about you sort of thought something about maybe a frequency or something, because I'm sort of thinking, if you're going to find something like that, probably most likely the United Nations site would probably accommodate something like that.
Well, I was going to say, you hear what you want to hear, right?
Well, yeah, some do, but I just wanted to point out the fact that Satan he's the ruler of the air, and he's light, so that covers television, especially in the old days of the CRT TVs, the cathode ray tube, I think it was. That's the old ones that are, the big fat TVs. There's patents for frequency output using those televisions that readily available to go and look at. Google patents. I'm not sure about the LED displays, but I have no doubt they would have found a way to do something in that. I know there's other things built into these things that aren't obvious. They won't say anything, and I know this for a fact because the other day, let me just quickly say this quick thing. It took coincidence completely out of the picture for me. I went to a shop and I was talking to this young guy about some technical stuff. And he said, there's this dude who's got a channel on YouTube. Okay, let me just set this up. My handbag was closed and my phone was in its case in my handbag. So if it was listening to anything, it was pretty muffled. Right, so back to this. I'm talking to the shop assistant. He told me about this guy who's got a channel on YouTube, and he told me the name. And I said the name back to him so I would remember it, so it would get into my brain. And that was it. And then I walked off, went home. The next morning I woke up, looked at my iPad, and in YouTube, there's that dude's channel in my suggestions. Now, there is no way, I did not search for him. I said his name once. The other guy said his name. And that's it. And my microphone wasn't turned on. So what's the deal with that? There's no way that's a coincidence, because I'd never heard of this dude. Never seen him come up before. So, all I'm saying there is there's some other stuff going on, these things. Who knows?
Sure. I definitely think that the spying capability of the phones, it's also that way with smart devices, our televisions, all of that type of tech, Bluetooth. light bulbs like I have here. It's all kind of part of that network. And the other thing that I wanted to say, as we talked about sort of the demoralization, right, of the oh, poor me mentality, that is also something that has been woven or like baked into the cake, as it were, in a couple of different ways. So you do have the propaganda saying it, you have music saying it, you have corporate press saying it, but it also is an attitude that is instilled into people in compulsory education. And something that I recently learned is that just the hard number that kids will spend 15,000 hours in a regular school system. So that's a long time to learn helplessness. That's a long time to stomp out creativity and a can-do attitude and all of this stuff. So it's all working together.
I'm glad you brought that up, Ashley. Also, am I coming in clear for you guys? Because I keep getting kind of a little thing popping up saying my internet's somewhat unstable. Am I all right?
You're mostly fine.
Anywho, okay. Anywho, I was thinking as Stella was talking about like the importance of light and like television and whatnot, and you bring up the public schools, I have really grown to hate fluorescent lighting, okay, as well as LED lighting. And go figure, here in the States, our fearless leader, President Barack Obama, tried to outlaw incandescent light bulbs. Now,
I can't find them. Can you find them? I can't buy them anymore.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I would have invested in those if I had known.
And, I have, here in the shop where I live, I have overhead fluorescent lights that I have to use when the sun is up. Otherwise, it's too damn dark. But as soon as the sun goes down, I kill the fluorescence and I turn on all of my, warm, sort of yellowish light, which some of it are LED bulbs. I believe some of them are incandescent. I think you can still get them. You just really have to look for them. I don't think Obama succeeded in getting rid of them entirely, but the importance of light and even just staring at the computer or at the TV after the sun's gone down, that by itself fucks with our rhythms, our frequencies. And, I'm trying to learn, it's like the propaganda is there to bring our frequencies down and to convince us of a less than true reality. And I saw this thing about, well, okay, maybe before I get to that, I do have this, we've talked about circumcision before. And this was just too weird. I had to share it. You guys in the chat probably saw it, but this is Sandra Bullock on the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Before we move on to this, Mike,
Yeah,
can I just
go
point
ahead.
something
Go
out
ahead.
with the fluorescents? Yeah, fluorescents are bloody awful, terrible things, especially when they start to go and they're flickering. That's really bad. They are also based on the blue light spectrum, so it's not good to be under that all the time. So if you've got to be under them, maybe get some warmer ones. But yeah, it does upset the circadian rhythm, and that is a fact, because otherwise Apple would not have built in, or probably other devices, I don't know, would not have built in the facility to be able to warm the screen light up at night. Like you can set it for a schedule, at 9 o'clock, turn it to orange sort of thing rather than blue based, because it does upset your sleep. And they sell, of course, the blue, the screen glasses. So it de-blues what you're looking at, better for your eyes. So it's obviously a fact. I mean, they acknowledge it. I suppose the fact they built it in makes them less liable, perhaps. I don't know.
So yeah, I'm kind of trying to connect things that maybe aren't totally connected. But again, like this is sort of in my opinion, like the war on men, this propaganda that's been fed in particular to American parents to get their kids circumcised, to me is like an anti-masculine propaganda move. And we've all maybe suspected that they were doing something with all that foreskin. This is just, I don't know if we should take this seriously or not, but it's a what the fuck. So I'm gonna play this.
this way in which one forces through microneedling. It's like a little roller with these, some of you, I think many of you know it, and it pushes through the skin and ruptures the collagen and then boosts it. You look like a burn victim for a day, but then it pushes.
What are you pushing into the skin?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby. That's what it is.
Okay.
Who comes up with this?
I don't think, and it's not like I'm lying there with little pieces all over my face. It's like,
who thinks of collecting it and having it for, we'll do something with this
and
someday.
why didn't we come up with that?
Okay, I mean, what?
Very what the fuck.
Yeah.
Very. Well, I know they sell moisturizer and stuff with goat's placenta and stuff in it, so I wouldn't put it past them at all. That's just the Richie's elite version.
Stem cells, right?
Yeah, I've known about this for a while.
So for the listeners, did we mention that was Sandra Bullock and Ellen DeGeneres?
Mm-hmm. What I found interesting about Ellen DeGeneres is it seemed like she was informed on the matter. And when people laughed at her saying it's foreskin from Korean babies, she gives the audience this look that pretty much, in my opinion, says, I'm not fucking joking. Like, that's what she goes, that's what it is.
Well, and didn't her wife get kind of killed for looking into some of the child trafficking stuff?
So
what happened to her?
So she was with Anne Heche years ago, and they were not officially married, I don't think. And Anne Heche did end up dying in a car crash, and there was a lot of stuff going on online about that. Like, weird footage. It looked like she was sitting up out of a body bag. It was bizarre.
They stuffed her back in.
They did, but she was not with Anne Heche at that time.
Gotcha.
She has been married to Portia de Rossi for a long time. But here's the other weird thing about Ellen is that in the last couple years, like previously to that, she was almost like America's sweetheart, like Rosie O'Donnell, like the Queen of Nice, this whole image. And then all of a sudden, the tide began to turn on Ellen DeGeneres, and people loathe her now. I don't even think she has a show anymore because her reputation tanked. And I think part of that has been because of the weird stuff like the baby foreskin, the association that her set looks like Epstein Island, like all kinds of weird stuff. So
the big thing is
treating her staff, right? OG, isn't that what you were going to
say? Yeah, she's an absolute fucking cunt. I mean, like, it had been rumored that she was a bitch for years, but it really came out.
I think she was accused of actually physical assault against her subordinates, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to point out, Mike, I see where you're sort of going with all this, and I was just looking up, does blue light lower testosterone? Just to see. Error 404, can't find that one. It's not on the Wayback Machine either. And the other one I was looking up was, does blue light disrupt hormones? Sorry, the page you are looking for could not be found. Beep.
Wow. I've got a little bit of insight. Let me just go ahead and tell you, you do not want to be around anything that is UV. Like, if you don't want to have kids and you can get around a UV lamp, just pull your pants down and just stick your shit in it for a few minutes. You're not going to have kids because UV light like mutates your cells. It doesn't kill anything. It just sterilizes.
Well, but I would say that's probably a certain part of the spectrum of UV light, because I've heard the opposite when it comes to sunning your testicles. Like, getting direct sunlight on your scrotum apparently boosts testosterone like a ton.
If you can do it first thing in the morning or in the evening, when you're getting more of the infrared light is what's supposed to be really good for you. But yeah, in general, I like to think that the sun is pretty healthy to be in.
We're gonna get into that girl that was sunning her asshole
God, can you imagine how bad it would be if you burnt your asshole or your gooch?
Yeah.
That has to be
Got
horrible.
sunburn.
Like, you know how bad it is if like your legs or something chafed. Just imagine. That's got to be awful.
Yeah, you'd be itching it all day long. Yeah.
It's taint tanning.
So, if I can like bring it back around again, right? I saw this thing on Twitter, X, whatever the fuck, where it was like, to me, it read like pure propaganda. They had this picture of like a bad looking Israeli soldier chick, right? And it's like, this is Colonel so-and-so or whatever. And her village was attacked by Hamas, and she and one other soldier single-handedly like fought off the terrorists and called in the airstrikes and called in the reinforcements. And it just read like the Ghost of Kiev narrative. You know what I'm saying? And all they had was this photo. Like, I saw no video, and I'm like, this smells like propaganda. And so I was immediately skeptical about it. And then the other day I was listening to the propaganda report with our good friend Brad Binkley, and I think he found a clip of a real example of a badass Israeli chick, not the same one, mind you, but one who is actually willing to speak the truth. Did y'all listen to this episode by chance?
I did.
Yep.
I did not.
So this clip I found incredibly illuminating, and I've heard a few sort of bits of corroborating evidence to this story since. Now, it's very, very hard to discern what's real and what's not coming out of Israel right now, but this to me felt true. I'll play it, and then we'll see what y'all think.
With that said, there are many who are suspicious of, so you have that angle of it. And you also have the angle of the suspicion about the surprise attack narrative. I'm one of the people who's suspicious about that. And I was suspicious about 9/11 in the same way. Now, just because you're suspicious of something doesn't mean that you definitely believe that somebody on the inside knew that it was going to happen and allowed it to happen. It just means that it looks suspicious based on the facts that are readily available, and that it should be investigated. Maybe it was a surprise attack. Maybe it absolutely was, and evidence can show that. But when the country who was surprised is touted as being on the cutting edge of surveillance, that they'd like be alerted if a cat came near its wall or something like that. I think that's what a former soldier said. Then you want to know how they got so surprised like that, how they got ambushed. Either their surveillance isn't as world-class as everyone claims it is, or there's another explanation to that. And look, investigating how this happened doesn't by any means absolve Hamas of what they did. What they did was awful, okay? It was awful. But don't you want to know? Don't you want to know if someone lended them a hand on the other side? I mean, we all certainly wanted to know after 9/11 anyway. And just to give you an idea of the type of surveillance, why people question it, because it's not a crazy position to question it, okay? And this is why. The Israeli military, well, I should start here. This is from a November 2021 article, and it is from the Washington Post. And so anything with the Washington Post, you want to question very, very critically. So I'm just going to tell you what it said. The program, the existence of it is acknowledged by the Israeli military in an online brochure. And the details of it, though, were the Washington Post by what it says, quote, recent Israeli soldiers, which is a little weird thing to say. But here's what the article says. The Israeli military has apparently has been conducting a surveillance program in the past few years to monitor Palestinians, a program that has integrated facial recognition with a growing network of cameras and smartphones and CCTV cameras that they already had set up. The surveillance initiative rolled out over 2 years involves in part a smartphone technology called Blue Wolf that captures photos of Palestinians' faces and matches them to a database of images so extensive that one former soldier described it as the Army's secret Facebook of Palestinians. The phone app flashes in different colors to alert soldiers if someone is to be detained, arrested, or left alone. In addition to Blue Wolf, the Israeli military has installed face scanning cameras in the city of Hebron to help soldiers at checkpoints identify Palestinians even before they present their ID cards. A wider network of closed-circuit television cameras dubbed the Hebron Smart City provides a real-time monitoring of the city's population. One former soldier said it can see into private homes. Are there ways around stuff like that? Of course there is. You can still surprise people because these technologies are not foolproof. People tend to think they are, but I don't think that they are. And people can be very savvy when they know that they're being watched. They can go underground, which I'm sure they did. They can use disguises. It's not out of the question that they were surprised by this, but it also, there's enough information. It's known that turn investigation. And you're not a crazy conspiracy theorist for asking that. And you're also not siding with one side or the other. You can accuse both sides of wrongdoing if it is found that someone knew and allowed it to happen. Okay. Finally, I'm going to end on this. I'm going to play the whole thing just so you hear it.
Questions are being raised, as we just discussed, about how the renowned Israeli intelligence services were caught so off guard. We're joined now by Efrat Fenningson, who's an Israeli independent journalist and joins us now. Efrat, so good to see you. I'm so sorry about the circumstances under which we are talking. So tell us about Saturday morning. You wake up, it was a public holiday, I believe, in Israel. What happened?
Right. So Saturday morning, 6 a.m. with sunrise, sirens are going off, rockets start to go off around the center of Israel, which is not...
Okay, I'm pausing real quick. We're having reports of a little bit of in and out with the internet. What do you guys say? Is it working?
It's
not
glitching a little.
bad.
Yeah,
I
we
just
can
wanted to
generally
know.
hear it.
I just wanted to know because I was going to go back out and come back in if it was just me. That's all.
No, it's not you. I think it's on my end. Like I said, I keep getting this little notice. It's like the internet is doing good for a few minutes and then it's kind of being weird. So, all right, I'll play on. Hopefully it goes well. Bear with me.
Usual at all. And then we wake up to the news of what's happening around the Gaza envelope villages. We hear of multiple breaches of the border fence, which is very strange, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then we start hearing about people that are locked inside their shelters in the Gaza envelope villages for hours and hours without any help coming. And this is very unusual. The army is not doing anything. The police is not there. There are no defense enforcement powers on the ground to help the people who are stuck. We're starting to hear about the music festival. 5,000 people in this music festival. The sightseeings from there are horrifying. Young adults are being ambushed and slaughtered. We're starting to see a lot of videos coming out, and people are sharing footage from the ground, which is very gory. Many of them were captured, tortured. We know of some young women that were raped even and later taken hostage. Many of these young adults are still missing and their families are going crazy. People were stuck in their shelters. Terrorists, the Hamas terrorists, were burning down houses in order to get those people to come out and then capture them. So, and we know that the forces did not arrive sometimes 8 to 9 hours later, and in some cases even 12 to 24 hours later. So people were really blocked in their houses, which is crazy. Now, I just want to say, I'm always on the side of the citizens, of the humans, the side of truth and facts. And it's very unpleasant to me to ask all these questions, but I served in the intelligence forces 25 years ago as a soldier, and I know the security drills, I know the layers of defense that we have. I know the spreading of the forces that we're supposed to have on the ground, and nothing worked according to what I know, to what everyone that serves in the army knows, and it's most of the people in Israel. So you really don't have to be an expert on that. You just have to serve in the army to see how things work. And this was 25 years ago. Today, we have the most high-tech army in the world. We have all the top-notch technology. We have the most advanced weaponry systems. We have sensors all around this gate. If a cat forces are being alerted in order to go there and check what happened. I just want to say that yesterday, a Hamas soldier, a terrorist that was caught by the Israeli forces, he was quoted saying in his investigation, "We prepared for over a year." That's what he said. The demonstrations in Israel encouraged us. I don't know how true that is. It's been 5 hours till Israel started shooting at us. We were set up with 1,000 soldiers. We created 15 breaches in the border fence. We were surprised and shocked that the IDF is not waiting for us. And this is crazy that the IDF was not prepared for this. And we also know that Hamas has released video footage about 3 weeks ago of their exact plan and on how they're going to penetrate and attack Israel. And we need to ask ourselves, how come this
able to happen?
huge surprise attack is happening, even bigger than the Yom Kippur War, I would say.
If what she says is true, that is crazy. And I hate asking these questions too, especially when people jump down your throat just for asking the type of questions that seemed normal to ask after 9/11, which does not absolve anybody of any blame for what happened. Okay. It just opens the door to maybe there's a little bit more going on than meets the eye. And I hope and I pray that they are able to save the people who've been taken hostage. I mean, this whole thing is just, it's terrible at every way you look at it.
All right, I'm cutting it there. That's pretty much the end. Shout out to Brad Binkley, Propaganda Report. I'm also going to shout out Samuel Urban of the Illegitimate Scholar podcast. His episode about this whole quagmire is very well reasoned. I think we're all in agreement here that we are anti-war. And this is just awful. Either which way you slice it, even if it's not totally chock full of propaganda like we suspect it is, for good reason, I'll add. It just sucks for the people that are actually there. It sucks for us because now we're all in this like global conflict, it seems. And there were a few good points made in our private chat here as that played. Basically, like this all of this shit, the music festival, the raped girl, all of this information that got kind of shoved down our throats is awfully convenient if your goal is to justify genocide against Palestinians. And it's a terrible, vicious cycle. Like third shout out, I'm sorry, I'll hand over the mic in a sec, but me and Walt from How I Embrace the Suck, he's been on the show with us a few times here on the forum. Him and I did an episode called The Dehumanization Loop, which pretty much says it all. Like when one side dehumanizes the other, it gives the other side a perfectly good reason to dehumanize the first group. And round and around and around we go. And next thing you know, we got a 75-year conflict with no real resolution in sight. And, I'll just point out what OG said, or no, Ando. This is just like Uvalde. There was a stand down ordered for God knows what reason.
Yeah, I think also the amount of propaganda serves to muddy the waters. So it's very hard to pick. Then they'll, do something really horrible and we'll just go, oh, no, it's just crap. So there's
100%. That is such a good point because I am at the point where I don't know. I don't believe anything that I'm being told about this situation. Now, what I'm keeping in mind is that I do believe that real people are suffering. But any story that we're hearing about, I don't think that it can be trusted, particularly if it's coming from a corporate news source. So it's really frustrating to see people falling for it and just saying like, I literally don't believe anything. I don't want to dismiss real pain. And we know that it's coming. They're going to bring it to Gaza. We know that. So it's horrifying, but it's also, as they say, the first casualty of war is the truth. And not only has war been declared on Gaza and the Palestinians, but we know that war has been declared on us too. So we can't tell, heads or tails from the situation of what we're hearing about.
And the flood of propaganda also serves to desensitize further.
Yeah, and as far as the dehumanization goes and the propaganda, like some of the lingo being used in articles and shows is these people aren't even human, they're animals. You know, I've heard that said. So that's like some of the headline type stuff and it's just crazy. Like you're talking about like kids and families and stuff. You're talking about the poor people who are just trying to survive. You're not talking about like the powerful rich people, you know? You're just talking about freaking families.
It's also more divide as well.
Yeah,
I gotta ask,
for sure.
what's the master plan? I'm sure somebody's got some insight into what the powers that be want this to be.
I think this is sloppy. This whole thing was, they needed a catastrophic catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. Hey, where have we heard that before? In the Project for a New American Century report where they talked about 9/11 before it happened, basically. Now, they needed something to catalyze the people and the world. And, to use the bulldog that they use, which is America, because America fights all their battles for them. We got a couple of battleships headed out there right now. But BB was in trouble. They were utilizing methods that they use in color revolutions. Basically, the transhumanists and the rabbinicals were basically at each other's throat. I've heard even reports that people within Israel's military were shooting at each other. That basically they were on the verge of a revolution, and BB needed to horn it in, and that's what's happening here. Or at least that's what I think is happening here. I don't know exactly what goes on with BB, but I also know that these people are ruthless, and the casualties don't matter to them.
I've been hearing there's a lot of Israelis in the streets calling for Netanyahu to be removed from office.
Good. I hope so.
It kind of makes sense, Ando, your theory. Yeah.
Just a quick question. Concerning Bibi Netanyahu, who is the rabbinical and who is the transhumanist? I'm guessing he would be in the transhuman crowd because he's owned by those people.
He's more on the conservative side. Yuval Noah Harari is actually the head of their transhumanist kind of thing that's happening there. And yeah, a bunch of people are behind them. Yeah, and that's funny. The guy that we talk about all the time. But yeah.
So you're saying, are you saying that BB and
man.
Yuval, that fucking nerd, that they are enemies of each other?
Basically, but the thing, it's weird the way that they operate, because they have goals that they both have, and then there's just usually they're just fighting over the way to do it. The other day I did an episode with Rob Brisky from Black Labs. You guys know Rob from the forum here. Yeah, I would love y'all to check it out. It's on my Burn Babylon Burn channel. And it's always fun talking to Rob. We went over a lot of this stuff.
Fully intend to listen.
It's downloaded and in my queue, but I'm way behind on podcasts right now because I've been on vacation.
So Ando, you're saying that this is all to distract from the massive shitstorm that BB has found himself in for the past couple of years, and the rumors of civil war for the past couple of months?
Pretty much. Yeah, that it's basically to get everybody all on the same page. Hey, unite behind a common enemy. And that works usually pretty well. I mean, we've seen that work many, many times.
So how does this
convenient? Sorry, go ahead, OG.
I was going to say, how does this figure in with the real radical Zionist Jews, whatever they are, and the Third Temple?
Oh, well, right before it all happened, a bunch of rabbis busted into the Al-Aqsa temple and started doing Talmudic rituals. So yeah, there's that. I just have the feeling, though, that this is not apocalyptic. I think this is just dramatic. A group of very dramatic people doing something extremely dramatic, and making it seem like it's biblical, because that's one of the things that sucks in all the Schofield Christians that fetishize the Jew.
Yeah, on that actual subject, when Jin and Drew and Ashley and I did a show the other day, we were talking afterwards and just sort of relating about how that disaster in Ohio, Palestine, happened, and how Palestine, how it's just very unusual. What a place to pick, and also following that predictive program, whatever it was, movie series, whatever it was. You're muted, Ando. What was it?
Oh, sorry. I was talking to myself. I said, who'd we lose? Oh, Mike.
Oh, right. Sorry. I thought you were
Is
saying
that
the name of
the
the
one that
series.
was on Netflix, Stella?
I have
was-
heard that it was, yes.
Yeah, so it was. I don't remember the name of it either, but
yeah.
but kind of like predicting exactly what happened in
Exactly what
Palestine.
happened
Yeah.
in the actual place, who it happened to be called
Yes.
Palestine. Okay,
Yes.
so we were talking about how that sort of there was something weird about that, the whole setup, the whole suggestion, the whole kind of setting people up psychologically, the predictive programming type thing, I suppose, in the form of an event rather than a movie, which was a movie. So there's that. And then I'm sort of thinking along the lines of this music festival and what happened recently in Arizona, was it? There was that sort of weird music festival situation, which was potentially going to be disastrous or potentially a human sacrifice, but it turned out not to be. And it also turned out to
Burning
be
Man.
very, propagandized to the hilt, because we spoke to our friend who was actually there and told us more truthful stories.
Seems
about
like
what's
there's a
happened.
thing with music festivals, because that was what was going on in Nevada. There was that country concert that was going on when
Yes, the mass shooter happened in Las Vegas.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to be on this topic because, Travis Scott's show was a whole big deal when he had
Yeah.
Astroworld.
Mhm.
And so it's a
Mm.
whole thing about the
That was a ritual.
yes, the ritual,
Absolutely.
the human sacrifice. And there's definitely, if you've been to a concert, you know that the energy can really be like
Yep.
something. Now, sometimes it's a very positive vibe, but sometimes it's really weird. So I definitely think that there's something to that.
Yep, and you've got the music playing, whether you want to admit it or not, there is something hypnotic about music, and there's particularly the drums, and also frequencies going through your body. So there is science to all that stuff. So there's that as well. It's just another thing. But I'm not sure how legitimate. I don't want to downplay it at all, but it does look like this festival did seem to be legitimate, that there was a slaughter. I'm not sure. I don't know. Does anyone have any sort of thoughts about the legitimacy of that? Has anyone suss about the actual legitimacy?
Yes.
I'm
on the
not
fence.
I'm not going to say that people aren't being slaughtered. I definitely do think there's too much evidence out there. I mean, we're seeing all kinds of GoPro footage and what is it? As Mia Khalifa said, just make sure that you turn your phone sideways. I think there's a lot of evidence that there is stuff going on. I just, I have a hard time believing stuff like 40 beheaded babies and,
no.
Oh, no.
basically
Joe
anything
Biden said that really happened, though.
Yeah, but I have a hard time believing a lot of that. What I do believe are a lot of the videos of people, getting shot up on, CCTV and, like dash cam footage and stuff like that. I don't think there's any doubt that there is stuff like that going on. Is it, as many thousands as they've said? I mean, I thought I heard at one point that they thought there might have been like up to 1,200 people dead at the music festival. I think that's gone down to like maybe 620. But I mean, you're literally shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, I saw some clips of people like hiding in porta potties, and you could hear their friends being shot, and
They were, they were apparently it was apparently
which at
walking
this
along,
point,
just shooting every porta potty. Yeah.
I don't understand how anybody can be like anti-gun. Like, okay, if it's not the government that's going to kill you, it's going to be crazy fucking people or extremists or, I just don't see how there's any argument at this point to be, anti-gun, or, just how anybody cannot be pro-freedom after you see shit like this happen.
Stay strapped, y'all.
That's true, but I've got to admit I haven't seen any footage come out of that festival that could actually, I mean, maybe the worst stuff isn't being shown if it's real, but it's all like it could have easily been set up is all I'm saying. And again, not to try to deflate any possible real.
They've showed a lot of really terrible stuff, so I don't know
Yeah,
why they'd hold back.
there's some footage from
Yeah,
the
okay.
air.
So it's quite possible it's a big human sacrifice. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do think it's a little strange that it got moved. I mean, I'm sure there's some reason. Who knows what it is, but it's kind of strange that you see people coming in fucking gliders. I mean,
Correct.
if you were gonna make a fucking meme of anything, I mean, come on now.
I'm like, it's just not a believable story. So you're telling me that this has some of the best, quotes, best surveillance for a country, and these fucking people coming in on like motorized balloons are able to come in and kill 1,200 people that just also happen to be created by Israel. That's admitted.
Yeah,
It's
that
weird.
part with the paratroopers, that seemed pretty like set up and
Yes.
staged.
And
Was
the
that
whole-
at the music festival, the paratroopers?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
It was like hand gliders, like literal, fucking, they flew kites in there. I mean, so stupid. And then the other thing we hear about the number, 1,200 people have been slaughtered. And yet I heard a stat the other day that there's like maybe up to 1,000 children still missing in Hawaii, but that's not all over the fucking news.
It's old news, Ashley. Nobody cares about Hawaiian babies.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Ashley, because
Yeah.
that and like, well, the East Palestine thing in Ohio, like, what's the follow-up? I don't know how those people are doing, but I'm very curious.
Yeah, I mean, that was all really, really major stuff. And it's like, poof, comes and goes, flash in the pan. Next. I mean, this is more of the desensitization, of course. That's what they're doing to us.
But back to what Ando was saying about it being convenient for Benjamin Netanyahu. It's convenient for America and the EU as well, because we've gotten ourselves in this quagmire of fucking Ukraine.
I mean, I've got a feeling that it doesn't have much more to do with anything except how many bullets can we sell.
Well,
Bombs
Zelensky did say that there were going to be major consequences if money stopped flowing.
What's that? Is that a threat? Like, fuck you, asshole.
Yeah.
I talked to someone who works in the military manufacturing arena recently, and he said they're making stuff they haven't made in 40 years. And that speaks to like the animalistic sort of dehumanizing nature of this whole thing. Like, they're fighting it like World War I. They could be using drones and like doing actual targeted attacks, but instead it's all human sacrifice stuff.
You're muted, Mike.
Mike, your
I
mic.
was gonna say we're gonna carpet bomb you instead of using our tactical, bunker busters. We're gonna use white phosphorus instead of like surgical, attacks. It's kind of fucking crazy. What I found really, I obviously cut out there for a while, so I don't know what was discussed, but that report from Binkley, that clip, what I found compelling about her story is that it sounded like she was genuinely astonished that it took so long to get troops on the ground, having been in the IDF. Again, I'm willing to trust a former IDF soldier a whole hell of a lot more than a current IDF soldier in terms of their story. But her tone to me felt authentic. She was flabbergasted. She could not understand why in the hell it took so long.
Yeah, and I do think that we were talking about what was the point of all this? Was it to sell more, to prop up the military industrial complex because Ukraine is losing support? I think that's part of it. Is it to continue the march towards the Great Reset? I think that's part of it. people were discussing the fact that after, obviously we know that the Patriot Act was ready to rock and roll after 9/11. Now this huge crime happens, but we know who did it right away, and we better get ready for war, and we also better get ready to crack down on your freedom. And we know that the Patriot Act was never rescinded, and that we've been suffering under that ever since. So people are calling this Patriot Act 2.0 because what it does is to continue to push and, you know, tighten the screws of that particular agenda, which we know must be met in the march toward Agenda 2030, Great Reset, whatever you want to call it. So I think it's like Stella and I say all the time, multifaceted. It's like so many bullet points that they are wanting to hit in, you know, in their path.
Yeah, I think this is a real big key to 2030. I've been hearing talk that they're trying to reinstate the draft in the United States. By the way, I'm getting some interference. I don't know who it is, but I'm hearing it sounds like another show playing in the background. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I think this is very important for Agenda 2030, though, and that's why it's playing out now.
Well, they knew something was going to happen, right? I mean, you look at the damn congressional trades, all the people that were buying, military defense contractor stocks. I mean, every time something big's going to happen, you can track the trades.
Absolutely.
I just heard a rumor about Pelosi buying a bunch of stock in a company that has medicine that treats radiation sickness. So, I mean, that's just something I saw on X Twitter, but like it's definitely her MO.
I mean, hell,
yeah, it is. That's what she did with when she went to South Korea, was it? And invested in the microchip industry or did some deal.
I mean, Egypt warned them, right? I mean, the U.S. knew there was going to be an attack and warned them, you know.
Well, I don't know if there's much else to add to this. I guess I don't want to cut us off, but I know, Ando, you said something about Africa. I don't know the first thing about what you were going to bring to the table there, but we can maybe
I think we should do that another time.
Okay.
Because I kind of had like a point by point thing that I wanted to do, but I got distracted.
Can I just finish with this little thing that little thing? Huh. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I wrote this down. I mean, maybe it's old news to you guys, but anyway, this was a quote. Israel tends to do a summer carpet bombing of Gaza regularly. They refer to it as mowing the lawn.
How's that for dehumanizing?
Yeah,
Wow.
that really got to me, that one.
Apparently their soldiers wear T-shirts that have a silhouette of a pregnant woman, and it says 1 shot, 2 kills.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's
Anybody
evil.
that thinks they're the good guys, that there are any good guys here, is mistaken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an operation.
Whoever they tell you the enemy is, that's probably not who it is.
The other direction. At least use your critical thinking. Sorry, Stella, go ahead.
No, you're right. And let's not forget that Iran was the last on the list of the 7 countries that need
Wesley
to be
Clark.
annihilated in 5 years. What was the name?
Wesley Clark's list of 7. Yeah.
Wesley Clark.
Iran's on that list. Yeah. Every other country we've gotten to.
That's something that Benjamin Netanyahu has really wanted to happen for a very long time. Like, Iran's number 1 on his list that America should fight.
Now here's something interesting, because I have heard some people speculate that Iran is already compromised, and that would even include Monica Perez, and I wouldn't be surprised by that. So that would make me think that it would be solely to make to make the Iranian people suffer and feel the effects of war, and the rest of the world know that the Middle East has continued to be destabilized. And I do think there is something psychologically harmful, even if you are not participating in the war, to know that World War III is happening.
Yeah, that's the whole thing that they talked about doing with this Russian war. Is they wanted to make the Russians suffer so much that they overthrew Putin. This is a new strategy that doesn't work obviously.
Well, Ashley and Ando, that's a good point, because wasn't it just a year or two that you were hearing that Iran was going to have another revolution, and there were riots in the streets, and it was all because of some female protester that got killed, and then what was it, 2007 or 8, when they had another big series of demonstrations where we thought the Iranian government was going to be destabilized and overthrown.
Yes. And it was, women are removing their burqas or that kind of stuff. And it was also kind of tying in like the very destabilizing feminism type movement there.
Hey, Ashley, I just want to say, I think you might have like a headphone cable rubbing on your boom mic or something. I keep hearing mic noises coming from you.
I wonder if I'm hitting it.
Yeah, you might
I don't
just be
know.
bumping it. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you got your lead sort of rubbing against it or something. It's maybe headphone.
Got John C. Dvorak over there.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm actually, Adam Curry's the one that bitches at John C. about it. And guess what, motherfuckers? Adam Curry's coming to Indianapolis December 4th. I'm going to shake that man's hand, and I'm looking forward to it. And I might even try to get him on the mic saying, I thought about this. I'm like, how cool would it be to get Adam Curry saying, "This is Adam Curry, and you are listening to the WTF Forum."
We get him on the show.
That would be really cool, but we're we're punching up.
You don't ask, you don't get.
True.
It's my philosophy.
Yeah.
And Big Perm, our buddy Big Perm on the podcast and the Discord, he would be really, really happy about that. He's a very big fan too.
Yep. And if you can't get somebody on for, like, these shows go a long time. If you can't get them on for the full 3-hour experience, you can at least get them on for 20, 30.
I'm hoping I get the chance to talk to him for a few minutes. It might be the kind of thing where he's just getting like assaulted by everybody all at once. So I'm hoping I can weasel in there, but I just think he'd probably get a kick out of the idea of the forum being a decentralized podcast, because he's all about podcasting as being sort of the solution, right? Like a system of communication that cannot be fucked with, right? So I think he'd like the idea, the concept of one that is not, dedicated to any one RSS feed. I think that would tickle him pink.
I'm in like a 25-person chat with him on Telegram, but I think I'd be crossing a boundary to direct message him.
Who's to say?
When are you seeing him?
December 4th.
There's plenty of time. You should get a T-shirt printed and give it to him.
WTF Forum T-shirt.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah,
I can do one for you if you like.
Yeah,
You should do like TLE and go crash it with like some WTF Forum stuff.
Yeah, right. The what do they call it? Little mall. That's been hilarious to keep up with. But that's
Timeline Earth's been doing some awesome stuff on Little Amal. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's their beat. I don't want to step on their beat, but that is actually pretty good WTF material. Maybe we should do a Little Amal like recap when it's all said and done.
We need to get Bird in here.
We should.
We've had a moment with Bird, but we should have Bird on the stage. So
yeah.
So
well, we got
if any of y'all out there know Bird, tell Bird to come on the show, and we'll talk about how birds aren't real and drive him up the wall.
we got Bird and Pete Quinones on the forum, but that was at Childerberg, and I don't hardly remember it. I was so fucked up, y'all. I was gone. Not my finest work by any means. Ando kind of held that one together. I'm going to give all the credit.
I don't want credit because I think it was kind of a mess. It was a huge mess. But Rob and me were working the technical side of everything, and then just the whole revolving door. But it was a mess, and it was a lot of mic cord in my little clamping tent. But it was a damn good time, and I was really man. I got to hang out with somebody from Childerberg today, and it's just like that. It's a great event.
It was a bunch of sweaty dudes in a tent trying to make a podcast, and you get what you get.
Well, the nice thing is that everyone in there had at least showered in the last 24 hours. We can't say that some of the campers had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was one or two stinky kids in the tent that day.
You
But
know, you could probably make good money selling dude wipes there.
true.
Patchouli.
Yeah. Well, do we have any more thoughts here? I'm not trying to like rush us, but
I was just going to quickly point out, I just had a look at the music festival. The latest death numbers seem to be 260. And just looking at this Middle East, what is it? Oh, New York Times, okay. Israel Music Festival Massacre. And the the guy who wrote it, Roger Cohen, he's been at the Times for 33 years. Anyway.
Do you just control F and type in 33?
To that article?
To every article you read.
No, they just stand out. They stand out like dog's balls, man.
Because it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Dog's balls. I would think rodent's balls would be the most standout. Have y'all ever seen a male rat just the way it like trips over its balls as it scurries?
I've not noticed that.
They have massive nuts.
I want to
Yeah.
see that.
It's true.
Or maybe I don't.
I was gonna say, are you sure you want to see that stuff?
Yeah, not really. It's definitely not on mass anyway.
Well, okay, so I'm the only other topic I had in mind, and you know, we can always throw some other shit out there, but I've got a couple clips of YouTube pranksters getting exactly what they deserve. Should we move into that? What do you think? Or anybody else have anything they wanted to bring up?
One really quick thing, back to the Israel situation. Ever since I have been on social media, I don't know that I have ever seen a more toxic environment than it is right now. And I mean, that's even COVID stuff. Like, it's really very, very bad out there. It's very toxic. And there's a lot of people that you had overlapping agreement with. They saw through COVID, they saw through warp speed, they saw through Ukraine, everything. And this was like, it triggered their MK Ultra programming. And then they're all, standing with Israel here. And then the war pigs are out in full force. And I'm telling you, people that I don't follow, like that fucking bitch, Meghan McCain, is non-stop warmongering in my feed. Normally, I try to just keep scrolling by these motherfuckers, but I'm like, why are you here? War pig, get out of here. Like father, like daughter, war pig. Nobody cares what the fuck you have to say. But so it's being stoked. It's being promoted. These people that are just begging for World War III. It's fucking disgusting.
Laura Loomer, Ben Shapiro.
Yes.
What's funny is, these
Oh,
people suck. I mean,
Ben
and
Shapiro
seeing,
literally said, if you're advocating for peace, you're the bad guy.
You're on the side of the terrorists.
Yes.
I thought about bringing a Ben Shapiro clip, but I just cannot stand his voice.
Yeah.
It is the worst.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fuck that
I'm
little
glad I'm not the
asshole.
only one.
I
And
appreciate
fuck
that, Mike. Fuck that guy.
And
I bet you
OG
can't
said,
hear him on times two.
No.
OG said, what about Eye Patch McCain? Yes. Crenshaw is, of course, he has a boner for war. Yes, Jordan Peterson has a boner for Bibi Netanyahu. And I'm not going to say what Ando said in the chat.
His new name is Juden Peterstein.
Yeah, that's been everywhere. Ando's not alone in that one. Everybody's saying
No,
that.
I wish I made that up.
Yeah.
But,
Was it Top Lobster that did that?
I don't even think it was him, but
I thought it was 9mm SMG.
It was 9mm, I believe. Yep.
Okay.
So what's the deal with
yeah.
Peterson's? Is he like writing everything in fucking haiku or what? I mean,
yeah.
Am I the only one that's confused?
His drugs, man.
I think we saw the best of Jordan Peterson about 7 years ago, and
Before he went off to retraining, before he got re-educated.
Reprogramming.
And now, Owen Benjamin is trolling him now. He's just like, hey, why don't you get off meth and then maybe we can talk.
He went to Russia to get off meth, I believe, didn't he?
Well, it was
Supposedly.
benzo was his addiction. So I guess Owen is
mm.
saying that he's on meth now to try to battle whatever that his benzo addiction.
Yeah.
Didn't Hillary Clinton or somebody recently say something about like we need to re-educate these people if they're not on our side when it comes to this conflict? Was that Hillary?
Yeah, I
or-
wonder if Jordan Peterson's whole thing was a bit of a re-education camp. It seems like sometimes these people who get real popular and influential, they go away for a while and come back kind of different. Dave Chappelle's another
Yes.
example.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, I will say that Jordan Peterson has some relative who is like associated. I feel like it's a brother-in-law or something like that that's associated with one of the big club organizations. So I don't think he was ever legit. I think he was a psyop from the start. But perhaps something like this is to plant that idea in our head, like, oh, I thought this guy was on our side, or, I don't know.
I was going to say something and
I think
forgotten.
JP has helped a lot of people. Like a lot of guys have definitely improved their lives by reading
Clean
him.
your bloody room, okay?
Yeah, exactly. All that
Make your
shit.
bed.
But yeah, I mean, he was never perfect for sure.
Now we saw him lose his shit a couple times. I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't know if he should be trusted because he clearly has his coherent moments and his incoherent moments. But this is the clip that I heard recently with Hillary Clinton saying we need to like re-educate these people. Actually, the words she uses is formal deprogramming of Trump cult members. Let's play this.
And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members.
Yeah, that's a little disconcerting.
She also went on to say Wag the Dog, which is really funny because it was a movie that was based off of him, off of Bill Clinton.
I just wanted to say, I think it sort of works in here. I was looking at the WEF, I think it was the WEF site the other day. Anyway, I was reading about their programs that they run. It's not the Young Global Leaders, but it was the Global Leaders, something or other. Just going off memory here. 2012, this program started. And from what I was reading, it seems that you do this sort of program and you go out and do your leading and stuff. And then every so often, which is random, you go back and do like a 10-day refresher, or I don't know if you want to call it reprogram, probably. And it sort of worked into my questioning that I've had over the COVID period, particularly about some of these leaders that, apparently they catch COVID and you don't see them for a couple of weeks. It seemed to happen to every single one of them. All the prime ministers, a lot of the premiers or whatever your guys are, the state heads. It seemed to happen to a lot of them, I noticed. And when I read that, it kind of slotted into place for me. It's just a hypothetical conclusion, but I thought that was interesting. So who knows? Maybe they are going off for reprogramming regularly. Keep it fresh.
Hey, it's possible.
Yeah, that's interesting. A lot of the time when I've seen that stuff happen, I think they're trying to get out of the limelight for a little bit. But yeah,
spend more time with family.
Right. Yeah. Why not? Why
Yeah.
not get
Yeah,
something
but-
else done while you're at it? Right.
Yeah. I think some of the perks are you don't really get to have much time off or spend time with family. I think a lot of it is you're doing this and then you're getting reprogrammed. I don't know. Just a thought.
Now can we move on?
Yeah, I did a quick search. I searched in YouTube Ben Shapiro annoying, and I'm not gonna subject us to it, but
I'm sure you got a cornucopia of things.
well, no, not really, because YouTube seems to like Ben Shapiro for some reason.
Yeah, because he's Mossad. And the other thing,
yeah.
I did want to say that OG said he needs to jump soon, so he wants to go ahead and cover the YouTube prankster.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. I have two of them. Okay, the first one is a guy who got arrested recently in Japan, and he goes by Johnny Sumali. Have you guys heard of this guy?
Yeah, we covered him back a few forums ago. About everywhere he goes in Japan, they beat the fuck out of him.
Did we cover this? Maybe it was
Yeah.
a forum I was not on, or I was just really high.
There's no such thing.
It.
There's been a couple that I have not been on, but
because he's been doing this for like what 4 or 5 months over there.
Yeah, he's
because
been doing it for
like
a while.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and then like literally they beat the fuck out of him.
Yeah, he's basically just an asshole, and he got what he deserved. So I'm gonna play at least a little bit of this, and then we'll get to the, I guess, how do I say, the home run in terms of dealing with YouTube pranksters.
Before getting his face-to-face meet with the street, banned and then unbanned on Kick, a stream from August 30th is found of him trespassing into a Japanese construction site.
Chat, what did I get myself into? Getting mad, bro. He's getting activated, dog. Chat.
Hey, oh, Fukushima. Whoa! Fukushima. Hey, Fukushima.
He's saying, "Ooh, Fukushima." You fucking prick.
Come to work.
So now, he just got rolled on by 10 Japanese coppers.
Why they unmarked car? How many cops is this? Yo, what is this? Who are these guys? Okay, go get it. Somebody call the embassy.
They're all still wearing masks.
Call the embassy, guys. Call the embassy.
And after he was taken into custody, it looks like he actually live streamed the police looking through his still unlocked phone.
Johnny Somali の名前で迷惑
SNK News' post is in Japanese, but
His
roughly
face is
translates into calling him a nuisance broadcaster being arrested for breaking into a construction site, where trespassing in Japan can result in 3 years in prison and or a fine of 100,000 yen, which is about $600 US. But more importantly, Japan has a 99.8% conviction rate.
All right, I'm gonna pause right there. So I was talking to a guy I know who lived in Japan for a while, and he was telling me how he's got an expat friend who runs a brewery in Hong Kong, and would it be Hong Kong or that's China, isn't it? I'm confused, but somewhere in Japan, this dude runs a brewery, and supposedly he grew some pot like in the brewery, which is pretty smart because hops and cannabis actually are very closely related, and the two smells can easily be confused. But that is ballsy as shit to grow pot in Japan. You can go to jail for a very, very long time. And like this says, they have a 99.8% conviction rate. Now, this dumb fuck went to Japan and was a dick to people for months and months. He got beat up more than once, usually by other foreigners, not even Japanese people. And, you know, you can extrapolate what you will from that. Japanese folks, I don't think are terribly, what's the word? Confrontational people.
Not since 1945.
Thank you, OG. But yeah, so he got arrested for trespassing in this construction zone, and they're throwing the book at him. But what I found really kind of interesting was when he's getting arrested, he's like, yo, like, call the embassy, dude, call the embassy. Like, nah, dude, fuck you. Like, you're not getting bailed out of this one. Like, you're a dick. I mean, any thoughts at this point? I'm this guy kind of sucks in general. So I don't really care to cover him much.
It's kind of genius that he managed to keep his phone streaming to the internet while they were searching through it and everything.
Right. The next guy I've got is way more interesting in that he actually gets shot. And this happened in America. So this is a little more close to home, but have you guys heard of Tanner Cook? He goes by what is it? Something Goons, Underground Goons or something.
Is he the Explorer guy?
No, he's just a YouTube prankster, but he's not a good prankster. He's just a dick.
Yeah, he's kind of a goofy looking fuck. I mean, real awkward. And it's
Yeah.
not even funny what he does. Like, I don't know if you have the clip of his I think it's his mother talking about they didn't expect it for him to be shot.
Yep.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. I'll
His
play
mum
this.
looks like she's
This
having
sounds
just as
good.
much
Yeah,
fun.
this is good shit. And his dad has come out like in his defense. Like, this is a typical spoiled little shit. Okay.
A jury reaches a verdict in a shooting case involving a YouTube prankster in Loudoun County. You might remember this. Our Matthew Torres has been following this since it happened. He joins us live outside of the courthouse with the verdict and reactions. Matthew.
Well, Joe, we know this was not going to be an easy case, especially knowing how quickly and what kind of questions the jury were asking during their deliberation. And ever since we first broke this story months ago in April that the victim, 21-year-old Tanner Cook, was a YouTube prankster recording a video for his channel, this story really got a lot of attention from people across the country. So about an hour ago now, the jury found the defendant, Alan Coley, not guilty of aggravated malicious wounding and the use of firearm for aggravated malicious wounding. What they did find him guilty for is the unlawful discharge of a firearm in a dwelling. As you might remember, in early April, there was that shooting inside Dulles Center Mall. We watched the video as Tanner Cook approached the defendant, Alan Coley, as he was picking up food for DoorDash. And there was that interaction where you heard Coley telling him to stop before kind of turning his body, pulling out his gun and shooting him in the stomach area. And he claims self-defense. Obviously, this was not the verdict Tanner Cook and his mother were hoping for, but we did catch up with them soon after this verdict came down. Here's what they had to say.
At the end of the day, we respect what the jury says. And my family and I are just grateful and thankful that I have my son here and nothing else matters right now. And that's it. I want to thank the prosecutors, the Commonwealth prosecutors, Miss Jones and Eden Holmes. They did an outstanding job presenting this case, and we couldn't have had it any better. And regardless of the outcome, the jury's the jury, and we totally respect how our law plays out. And this was the outcome today, and we respect that. Let's go.
Okay, fuck this mother, fuck
Holy
this son,
shit.
fuck the dad. This kid is, look at him. He's so satisfied with himself. He's just a little shit face, little fuck, and he thinks he can do whatever he wants and get away with it. And somebody said no. And did they show, I was kind of searching for some stuff. Did they actually show the video of the incident? I don't think they did.
They don't have the one on YouTube. You may have to go to Twitter, or you may have to do a couple of YouTube searches. I just want to say this is once again a consequence of people not realizing that the internet is a real place, or is not a real place. People in real life will beat the fuck out of you for no reason. Mm-hmm. They will shoot you. They will stab you. They will, spit, kick, hit you for being a dick. Like, you can't just sit behind a screen all day. Also, this is a violation of don't do stupid shit with stupid people in stupid places.
Yep, totally. I've got this other video of a self-defense instructor kind of breaking it down, which is, he takes a very reasonable stance. I actually kind of disagree with him. He basically is making the claim that it is not a justifiable case of self-defense shooting. But long story short, if some big motherfucker was getting up in my face and acting deranged and would not leave me alone when I expressly said, leave me alone, I might pull out my gun and shoot too. The problem is, okay, and take this or leave it, this is not legal advice. What I've come to understand is if you are involved in a self-defense shooting empty your clip and make sure the motherfucker is dead. Otherwise, you cannot really claim that you truly felt in fear for your life. Because if you leave the guy breathing, you must not have been that afraid. Does that halfway make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to say, there's all kinds of issues, both with, disparity of force and, state laws. I personally do not think this was a good shooting. That's just me. But, I at this point in my life, there's a lot of things that I don't think I would be willing to either pull out a gun on someone for or shoot them for. And getting followed around the mall with a fucking camera in my face is definitely not one of them.
Sure. No, I mean, go ahead, Stella.
I just wanted to throw a little small spanner in. Are we sure it's legit? Because
this is real.
Yeah.
This is very real. Yeah.
Yeah. How can you be sure?
Well,
because you saw it on telly.
Well, but there's been a lot of coverage of it, and like all sides are telling the same story. I don't know. I mean, I don't see this as being fabricated. And you're right, OG. Like, this is not really a justified shooting. I guess I'm just making the point where if a big motherfucker is following you around and won't leave you alone, it is a gray area. It's a gray area. Like, you don't know what's going on in this crazy person's head. He's literally following you. He's in your personal space. You've asked him to leave you alone multiple times. You've tried to retreat, and he's continuing to follow you. I can see why somebody would be afraid, right?
Well, yeah.
How do you know that this guy is not getting ready to stab you or pull a gun on you? We don't know that. And if it had been a female, that's even more scary because of the strength differential, right?
True.
Yeah, I mean, you can shoot a whole lot more people than I can. You've got to factor in disparity of force, training. There's all kinds of things. It's at the end of the day, it's down to what you can prove. And once again, he got off on shooting the guy.
Yeah.
He still has charges and faces up to 2 years.
Well, and this
So
guy,
you can be perfectly right and, morally right, ethically right, and still be legally wrong.
Sure.
True. And that's actually what this self-defense guy really does a good job of explaining. But go ahead,
I think
Ashley.
Speaking to what Stella was saying with, are we sure it's real? I think there's enough situations like that happen that this is, there's a reason it's popular, right? There's a reason we're talking about it right now. And that's because it wasn't a perfect shooting, right?
Right.
So that's like the PSYOP angle of it is not necessarily that it didn't happen the way we've seen it, but that different sides are going to interpret it different ways because the response was perhaps a little overboard compared to what should have been done ideally.
So
there's two reasons.
I just wanted to chime in really quick on whether or not it's a PSYOP. Of course, it could be a PSYOP, it could be fake. But normally, if we believe that the Predator class has the same playbook that they recycle because it works so well, normally they go after large, like a mass shooting is normally what they seem to prefer to make maximum tragedy impact. Instead of, in this case, like this guy didn't die at all. He's still out here being a huge pain in the ass. Like, I'm glad he didn't die and it worked out better for the other guy that actually shot him that felt threatened. But I just wanted to make the point that normally it seems like a mass murder situation is what the Predator class prefers in order to make their moves against guns.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. The only reason that I was sort of bringing that up was because that can easily, like, it's sort of, because of that, it's a bit unsuspicious, you know what I mean? So it can easily be used like moving a pawn instead of a castle or whatever. Anyway, it can also be used for the narrative of the gun control narrative, right? So it fits nicely into that. And also, I don't know, there was just something about that mother. Something
She
about her. She
sucks.
sort of
She's
almost looked
sad, yeah.
familiar. I don't know. I just can't put my finger on it, but whatever.
Karen-esque.
She just seemed
was
like
Karen-esque, yeah.
I don't know. Just a personality thing, maybe. I don't know.
She seemed cold.
Yeah, like not in the sort of mode that you'd be in if your son was shot I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
Well, this happened in Loudoun County, Virginia, which is
When did it happen? Because if there's been quite a long time between that and the event and the court case, then I can sort of understand, she's moved on sort of thing.
So I believe this has all kind of transpired in the last 3 to 6 months. But I think the court date, like I think his trial just happened in the last couple weeks.
I feel like some other suspicious stuff was happening in Loudoun County, Virginia. I don't know if that's where there was some clashes with parents and school board.
Yes.
Some other fuckery. So,
Loudoun County is just outside of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And there's a lot of very, very wealthy people there. It clearly is like a hot spot for some fuckery, if you will.
Spook town.
I think that mother looked like she had just spent a shitload of money on that court case.
Yeah, she might be a spook. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the guy that the shooter, when I saw the footage, he kind of, I don't know, he looked like the kind of guy you might hassle him once, but then you just have to sum him up, and it's like not kind of guy you really want to. I don't know. He looked like a triggery kind of guy, not the sort of guy you'd want to kind of work up. That's what I thought, and I thought that was the other little suspicious thing, was he looked a little bit too much like that. But I don't know. I'm very suspicious. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it's worth watching this this breakdown here. Any final thoughts before I play it? I'm not going to play the whole thing.
The YouTube kid looks dumb enough that he wouldn't even pick up on what the other guy's vibe was.
Well, and that's actually that's a really fucking good point, Bear Snare. And this guy makes the same point. He's like, this prankster guy seems like a total fucking sociopath. He cannot read like cues socially. So here, I'm just gonna play a couple minutes of this, and then I've actually, to kind of end the topic itself, I have a YouTube prankster that I actually think is really hilarious, and he does some questionable stuff. Like, it's amazing he's not gotten his ass beat, but I think it's because he's actually funny versus like this fucker who's just not funny. He's just bizarre, there's a subtle difference that I think is worth noting. Like, this guy seems to kind of get his jollies off on making people afraid and uncomfortable, versus the other guy who kind of is playing a similar game, but does it in a more, I don't know, genuine or wholesome kind of way, maybe. But we'll judge that for ourselves here in a bit. But this self-defense guy, he's got a pretty good take on the whole thing.
I feel like I don't want to say this. I'm going to regret making this video. I don't want to say the words that I'm about to say. A YouTuber named Tanner Cook was shot in a mall committing a YouTube prank. It wasn't a prank. I'll explain that later. And the guy that shot him was recently acquitted of shooting him after claiming self-defense. Tanner Cook's YouTube channel, Classified Goons, sucks. It's the worst type of channel. His pranks are idiotic. He's a jerk. He's a moron. He should have been punched in the face, kicked in the balls. He should be in jail. But he should not have been shot, and it wasn't self-defense.
Quit thinking about my twinkle.
No.
Quit thinking about my twinkle.
Get out of my business while cops on me. Stop.
Quit thinking about my twinkle.
Stop.
Oh, this is what sucks about this, is because I'm fine with people getting shot in self-defense. There are some problems for which the solution is a bullet going into a person. Legally, morally, tactically, sometimes that's the answer. This is not one of them. If you're new here, I'm Mike. This is Hard to Hurt, a channel dedicated to martial arts and self-defense. And I was a police officer for a long time. I investigated hundreds, maybe thousands of assaults, lots of them involving weapons, lots of them involving shootings, and some of them involving people getting killed. I did it a bunch. This guy was found not guilty of aggravated malicious wounding, which, don't get confused. It's like, why wasn't he charged with attempted murder? Laws are called different things in different places. The jury deliberated for hours, then came back and said, we're kind of split on whether or not he acted in self-defense. And the judge did what judges always do, which is tell him, go back and deliberate some more. It's not very helpful instructions, but it's pretty standard. Then they came back and they found him not guilty of the malicious wounding. I don't believe that anyone thinks he didn't shoot the guy. Like, no one thinks that. So them finding him not guilty of that crime means that it was self-defense. Unless there's something I'm missing, unless there's some element to the case that hasn't come out yet. But they found him guilty of discharging the firearm, like of shooting the gun. They found him not guilty of shooting Tanner, but found him guilty of shooting. They're saying that the shooting of the gun was unlawful because it was like in a building where there are people, and you can't do that. Dude, you can't shoot a gun inside. Oh, he shot a guy? That's fine. That guy was an asshole, but he can't shoot a gun inside. There's some fuckery here. That's not right. And I have an idea why. My very first jury case that I ever prosecuted on my own was a woman stole some clothes off of a clothesline. And I had a good case. It was like slam dunk. The defendant got on the stand and she looked like she was lying. I was looking at the jury and they were all rolling their eyes at her. And the witness was very believable. And they went back and they were deliberating forever. And I looked at the defense attorney and I was like, yo, man, this is taking a long time. What are they talking about? He said, I'm not sure what they're talking about back there, but I can guarantee you this. And he'd been a lawyer a long time. Whatever they're discussing has nothing to do with the facts of the case. And you may or may not have heard the old adage. You know who's on a jury? 12 people who were too stupid to figure out how to get out of jury duty. That's one of the reasons that I laugh at all these guys who say, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. That also is what makes this kind of sticky, because it's those guys that are like, see, hell yeah, self-defense. And I'm like, but this isn't. I believe YouTube pranksters are idiots, and a lot of them need their ass kicked. And some of them are committing an assault and calling it a prank. Now, for a second, if you think that I'm a little harsh on this guy, Tanner Cook, Classified Goons, and you think, what, Mike, you're calling him names, you're saying he's an idiot, and his channel's not real pranks. His channel, they're not pranks. We've done a video before about YouTube pranks. I don't think they should be allowed to use that word. They're just being mean and confusing and then filming people reacting to that. That's not a prank. He's not clever. He's just an idiot. If you need evidence, this is his reaction coming out of the courthouse.
Regardless of the outcome, you know, the jury's the jury, and we totally respect how our law plays out. And this was the outcome today, and we respect that.
Let's go. Just real quick.
Okay, so I don't know. I think this guy's right. Like, it's not a clean shoot. But to me, there's just enough gray area to be like, he fucked around and he found out. I don't, don't fuck with people, man. It's not that complicated.
It's interesting the point that he made about where they actually landed in the case with the shooting not being okay in the building. And that's a kind of like, that's a kind of messed up thing to have him guilty of. Like, yeah. if it is self-defense, then that's okay. Was anyone else shot? Did it? I don't think anyone else was shot. So like, he didn't shoot into a crowd.
Right. No, he just shot the dude in the stomach. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. The stomach got in the way.
The funny thing is, this punk says he's going to keep putting out videos. I'm like, how fucking stupid can you be?
Yeah, true. And there's the old adage of just don't touch me, don't touch my stuff. It's that simple.
Yeah, no, he never did touch this Tanner.
He never touched him, but he was in his personal space. Way too
definitely much. Yeah, and like had this blank expression. Like, it to me, it looks the body language. It's threatening. Like, I think there's a case to be made for I felt my personal safety was threatened.
Absolutely.
But still, that's like not quite enough. This guy actually has a separate video where one of his students in his self-defense class had to deal with one of these fucking retards, trying to get clout on YouTube. And this is like, in his opinion, how you're supposed to handle it, which I think is, again, like kind of worth watching. I'll just play a minute or two here, but here you go.
Y'all gather around. Look at this shit. Look at this.
It's embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing. You handled yourself. You handled yourself very well.
No, it's embarrassing.
Look at
I
this.
feel embarrassed.
I'll hop up this counter and break that camera. You won't be mad. So stop fucking recording me, though.
Make my milkshake and chill out.
I'm not making nothing.
You're not making nothing? Dude, you heard how she talked to me? All right.
Inside, I'm not making nothing. You want to stand here? Stand here. We're not just serving you.
I'll go back there myself and make a damn milkshake, motherfucker.
I swear to God, I'll shit out of you.
Dude, get the hell out of here.
Get the fuck out of here, I said.
Dude.
He's like, come on. You handled it perfectly. Explain to me, like, what happened before? Because that's the problem with these things. They don't show you before.
Yeah.
They just show her flipping out.
Calm down, I was trying to solve the issue calmly. The girl started, getting mad at them, and they were getting mad at them, and I was like, you know what? Let me make this shake and let them get out of here so we can avoid the trouble. Well, at a certain point, I was like, no, I'm not taking this shit no more.
Yeah.
So I was like, here's your money. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. And then
I
when he
was
said
like-
he was going to come over the counter.
I was like, you come over here, I'll beat the shit out of you. I swear I will beat the shit out of you.
I think that's appropriate. We're not
That's it.
serving you. You've got to leave. I'm coming over to the counter.
I was like, if you're a man, come over this guy. He actually went to my wife's job too, to Home Depot, and did the same thing. He went to their break room. That's what he does. He
went all the way in the break room?
Yes, in the break room.
Dude, he's going to get...
No, he got arrested like maybe 7 times. This guy's crazy.
Think about if his dumb ass had hopped that counter.
Oh my
He'd be like,
Oh my God. I was waiting for him to do something.
Did they just show her acting out, right?
Yes.
Then they just show you
They only show
fed up.
Yes, exactly.
They don't show that he riled you up. So they make it out to be like, look at how crazy these people are.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Exactly.
It's a good thing that idiot didn't hop that counter though.
No, but he was gonna beat the shit out of him. I swear to God, I was gonna beat the shit out of him. I was at that point, and he came second time.
He came back?
Yeah, he came back.
He lives in Myrtle Beach.
Does he?
He went to Myrtle Beach High School.
Oh,
Okay, so I'm gonna tie it back, right? This is what toxic masculinity actually looks like, are these fucking YouTube motherfuckers who have been spoiled and basically they don't know what being a man really is. They just think, oh, I'm gonna go for some YouTube clout, maybe I'll get laid if I get enough fucking likes and views and shit. I'm trying to tie it all full circle once again, but these YouTube people, man, you gotta look out. You gotta look out.
Yeah, just to go back to the previous dude, still same topic, but I was wondering what it was that he was showing on his phone when he was going up to that guy. Like, what instigated that?
It was a stupid little recording, and if I'm not mistaken, it said, "Quit thinking about my tinkle, dipshit," and it kept saying that on a loop. Quit thinking about my tinkle, you dipshit. It's like, it's nonsense. It's
Right.
And quit thinking about my dick. Like, he's trying to get a reaction, right?
So
And he
was
got
that
one.
Was that the guy that shot him sent that to Tanner?
No. The guy who shot him was just a random, DoorDash delivery guy picking up a delivery order from the food court. And this big Tanner Cook motherfucker comes up to him with his phone saying, "Quit thinking about my tinkle, dipshit," on repeat.
Okay, so
totally
there was
unprovoked.
no connection whatsoever before that. There was no comments on YouTube or Instagram or anything like that. He wasn't
Right.
It was just a random pick.
He picks on random people. He's a bully.
Okay,
He's a bully.
right. Thanks.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a common theme with these YouTube pranksters. They all look like they're on drugs. And I mean, I'm no stranger to inebriation. Like, do what you will, but we all know the kinds of drugs they're giving kids these days.
Yep. Yeah. No, this kid's probably Adderall to the hilt, if I had to guess. And he's probably stoned off his ass. He pretends to be stoned, but it's a pretty convincing act. That moment where he's like, huh? He's like, I don't care. I got shot. It's like, dude, come on. This is the epitome of retardation, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much of a societal mentorship going on at the moment, is there? I mean, it's just rubbish everywhere you look. All this stupid short attention span garbage and the gender stuff. I mean, really, in one way, can't really blame these young guys because they've they've grown up in this weird world, this strange, inverted place.
So, Ando, do you want to fill us in here on what's going on at the Bills game real quick?
I don't know everything that's going on at the Bills game. Ashley was just saying that somebody got an injury. What do you have on that, Ashley?
Okay, so Twitter account at Vision for the Blind said, so tonight on Sunday Night Football, a Buffalo Bills player goes down on what seemed like a normal hit, the same team that Damar Hamlin plays on. He was taken out on an ambulance. And what do you see on the back of the ambulance? The number 33. So I originally thought the player it's so the ambulance has two back glasses, like separate, like one window in each door, and there's a 3 and a 3 in that, and that was allegedly like in honor of Damar Hamlin. And then I saw another video of they're already making jokes. They showed like Vietnam footage, and they're like Damar Hamlin when he has flashbacks of PTSD from last January or whatever. But yeah, so I'm not even familiar with the player, and I wasn't able to even see if it was an exact same hit. Now, one thing that I do find interesting is that in Damar Hamlin's case, it literally looked like I thought he was dead for sure because he was out for many minutes.
I think he did technically have his heart stopped.
Yeah, but I thought it was not coming back. But it was a long time, and then the game ended up getting canceled, even though it was a very big playoff game. Well, from what I have seen tonight, again, I'm not watching it. I just saw some stuff on Twitter. It looks like this game continued, so I thought that was kind of weird too. It was like, okay,
Oh,
That is weird.
It's
Just happens
normal
every
now.
day now.
It's normal.
Yeah. So they're playing the Giants, and that's like an intrastate kind of thing. You know, Bills Giants. That's got to be huge. But one of my friends in another chat said people audibly yelling "fuck Israel" in the background in the moment of silence at the Bills game Sunday Night Football. Yep.
damn.
Ooh.
It's interesting that it's the Bills because the name Bill has some esoteric significance. Bill, Baal, Beelzebub, it's all the same word if you're doing the green language thing.
Well, and Buffalo Bill, she puts the lotion in the basket, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Or she gets something. What is it?
Or else she'll get the hose again.
There you go.
Yep. She puts the lotion on the skin, or else she'll get the hose again.
Yeah.
That dude was making lampshades out of people's skin, man.
He was making a woman suit. Yeah.
That was fiction technically, but whatever. Before we get off of the prankster thing, I do just want to show one example of a prankster who I think is actually clever and relatively harmless, and this isn't you could say art form that can either be done well or be done terribly, poorly. But this is a guy that I started following maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and I think he's actually pretty fucking funny. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this because I think y'all are going to get a kick out of it.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to play a game of Simon Says. If you win, everyone's happy. If you lose, I'm going to pull that fire alarm.
Sorry. No.
All right, how about heads up, 7 up?
Nope.
Tag.
No.
Cut the goose?
There's no game I'm going to play that you're going to put my fire alarm.
I was hoping you'd say that. Hi.
I'm asking you what you're doing.
Oh, I'm trying to play Simon Says.
Please sit down and get away from the fire alarm.
Okay, look, we can arrange some things. Look, my name's Fred.
Hey, Brian.
But between me and you, I'm gonna have to pull this bad boy.
I'm going to go speak to the deputy.
Looks like we're on a time limit. All right, guys, the moment you've been waiting for. Wait, you guys really thought this was real? Thought this was a real fire alarm? You must think I'm fucked up. No, this is actually a fake. I bought it, and I have Velcro strip.
Hey guys, I'm Joe.
Wait, Joe who?
I'm the manager of the library here.
Huh.
Now, I understand, people do things for YouTube or videos and things like that, but knowingly pulling a fire alarm is a crime.
But I thought if I pulled it, if I say it's a prank, then I'm safe, I thought.
No. Okay, absolutely not. If you don't leave the library right now, I'm going to call the cops because threatening to pull the fire alarm. Okay, so hello.
Joe,
Right. Okay.
Look, it wasn't a real fire alarm. It was mine.
Okay.
See, but it looks real though.
Okay. So we need to go.
Okay. All right. We'll leave. Thank you for being a good sport about it. So I got this off Amazon, right? It's a beautiful setup. Look, no marks. Zoom in. Can't catch a charge. And you see this fire alarm?
Yeah.
It was yours, but I cut the line, so it didn't make a sound.
So can I look directly at the camera?
Yeah.
You got me. You got us. Okay. All right. Yeah. There's some group called the Ireland Boys, and they came in. I was wearing a.
The Island Boys?
Yes.
Anybody here?
Yes.
The Island Boys went to this library?
Yeah. One of the guys was wearing a Santa suit and eating like a gallon of ice cream.
I'm an island boy. Okay. Well, Joe.
That's a good one.
And honestly, guys, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it because a guy like me wearing these kind of shorts, I have to spit facts. Josh Pegg looks at me and he's like, "Damn, you are a truther." That is the nicest librarian I have ever met in my life. Every time I do a library prank, I always make at least 5+ ops, like on some King Von shit. So honestly, Joe, if you're watching this, I love you. If you have a daughter, tell her to hit my line, hotline bling. So I'm in this library, right? They have a fire alarm. I took it off their wall. I'm gonna give it to my son.
All right.
And that is you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna be honest, I still needed this. But I'll give you a hug.
See, this guy's still an idiot.
You have a great
but
day.
He's nice,
Question. Whenever you get like a moment of like your free time, could you radio an officer? I just have a quick question.
Yeah, I can ask you.
Thank you so much. Oh yeah. I was like reading a little bit over here.
Okay.
It keeps like making like little noises.
Yeah, here.
Oh, the fire alarm.
Just making some noises. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can have somebody check the sensor down in the basement.
I don't know. Like I'm just sitting here. It makes it just like want to like pull it.
If you want, you can move over here. You won't be able to hear it.
Like what would happen if I pulled it?
You're charged with a crime. You can do that. They're sending a bunch of people here because they don't touch it. Yeah, don't do that. What are you doing? Don't do that. What are you doing?
What?
Don't put your hands. Why are you
in
doing
there.
that?
Wait, why didn't it go off?
Okay, are you okay? Are you okay?
Are you?
Do you need some help? Oh, so you videotaping?
You
Okay, so
guys
this
got
guy
me.
illegally pulls this, get an alarm.
Do you know why it's
and
not going
you reading
off?
this? No, don't touch that again.
I should like turn it back off though.
No, just leave it the way it is. It's fine.
But like what if they're coming?
You have a name?
Durf. Do you?
Okay, this conversation's over. Don't touch
Okay,
that.
wait, can I be honest with you guys?
You're acting really immature, but go ahead.
Is it my shorts?
No, you're acting immature.
You're like this might spark a
Your
few
shorts are
laughs. Oh, thank you.
No.
Okay. But
I don't want to shake your hand.
I get that a lot. Like,
I
what
can
if?
see why? You don't want to trespass you.
Wait, but they didn't say that. You guys are just
We
assuming.
did. Hey,
No.
have Sarah come down here. I think you might want to trespass him.
Sarah does not.
Okay, now we need to see your ID.
What if I don't have any ID?
Name?
Durf.
Well, no, you understand. Whatever you tell me, officer's presence, if it's
Okay.
a lie, you're lying to an officer.
Yeah. No, I mean, no.
Is your name Durf?
That's what the streets call me. What if I said? I want to-
Are you with Mr. Durf over here? You, sir. You with Mr. Durf?
See, look. Boom. See, look.
I gotta say, this is
So it's
hilarious.
fake?
And you think that's
no,
funny?
No one said it was fake.
And you think that's funny?
I just said it was a prop.
You think that's funny? How old are you?
It's kind of personal to say.
Why?
Okay, all right, that's enough.
Oh my god.
I'm like, you can do it well. You can do
It's
it well.
beautiful.
Is your name Durf?
That's what the streets call me.
I love that last bit. Why?
Why? Yeah, it goes on. It goes on. Hey, he's worth a follow. I'm not gonna lie. Fred Boyer or something like that. But he's funny. All right. He's got
Fred
one.
Durf. Oh, Durf is a remix of Fred.
Yeah, Durf. Yeah. He's got one, and it's actually pushing it, in my opinion. But he'll ask, "Can I borrow your cell phone? I got to make an emergency phone call." And he'll swap the phones, a little sleight of hand, and then he'll like get on it and act like he's all upset, and he'll throw the phone against the concrete, and it's like a dead, busted ass phone that he's got their phone still in his pocket, and like people lose their shit. But again, it's like these guys are kind of toeing the line, but at least Fred, aka Durf, is actually clever and funny versus that Tanner Cook asshole who doesn't have two brain cells to rub together and is just a dick and a bully, like I said, fine line. But that's all I got on that.
I thought Durf was very game to reach in and hug that man, because that is definitely getting into someone's personal space.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Yeah. But he didn't. He would have
knows
hugged
how to
him.
make people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But he's towing that line.
But he's not being threatening, or like he's not inducing fear. Maybe a little confusion, maybe a little irritation, but not fear. There's a difference.
Yeah. Yep. It's not really threatening.
Right.
The cell phone thing
harmless,
could get him
stupid
hurt.
fun.
I like that he just pulled the fake fire alarm right in front of two cops. Like they were so ready to put him in freaking handcuffs, and he's like, but it's fake. It's not real. Like, please.
What it reminded me of too is whenever like a cat is batting something and it's getting ready to go off the over the edge, and people are like, "Don't do it. Do not do it."
Right. Right.
And the cat's like,
"Fuck you."
yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff. Anywho, that's all I got for everybody. Anybody else have anything for us before we call it a night?
I didn't bring shit.
Well, I'll just wrap up. I don't want to get into it too fully, but as we know, Australia's just had their referendum, and the vote was a great big fat no, a really big fat one, which was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, pretending that voting's real, but the PM, etc. Yeah, just totally. He shot himself in the foot with this complete deception and lies. It was just so obvious, and I just think the government did not give the people enough credit. So yeah.
So what do you think happens now? Do you think they double down, come back with something new? Because it seems like that's, it's like you won this battle, but
that's exactly what it is. Yep.
Yeah.
That's just the beginning. That was a good battle to win, but there's this thing called closing the gap that they're trying to put into motion, which is, it all sounds like closing the gap is about bringing the Indigenous more into line with the standards of living of the white man, basically putting it in black and white. But that's really not what it's about. It's because the closing the gap thing is about being able to implement the thing called the UNDRIP, which is the United Nations Declaration. I can't remember the acronym, but it's basically, the bringing in the ability to land grab and own everything. So that's what that's about. And again, everyone thinks it's about closing the gap to make things better for the black folk or the First Nations people, which is also debatable, but that's another story. But it's not really about that. So we're going to still get more of the propaganda. Oh, the other thing was that all voters, which was like a huge percentage of the population, it was about 80-something% of Australia, we're all racist and misinformed. And there was so much disinformation on our campaign. And it's hilarious because walking into the polling booth, it was yes, 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 vote yes. Everyone's got yes T-shirts on. There was no sign of anything that said no. There was quite a bit of personal campaigning and a bit of fighting going on with the no camp, but it certainly was not anywhere near like the yes camp. It certainly wasn't cashed up from all the corporations like the yes camp was. And all the other things that went on, which were very deceptive. But truth prevailed. But now, yes, it's going to be about the disinformation bill, as well as the closing the gap thing. So the war continues. But that was a good start.
It's encouraging, right? That there's more opposition than you might figure.
I felt very encouraged, actually. Yes. As I said, I don't think they gave the people enough credit, but it was just so blatant what they were doing. You'd have to be a bloody idiot not to see through it. They were living under a rock or, completely hypnotized, one or the other. But, it woke a whole bunch of people up. So it's a good thing.
So I've got a little something. I mentioned earlier that I was on one of the UN sites, and it's unops.org. That's UNOPS. And I thought it would be interesting to just read their homepage, what they say, because there are a lot of the key words and phrases in just this little blurb. So I'm going to go ahead and read this, and I put the link in the chat if you want to post it.
I'm way ahead of you. Yep.
Across Africa, UNOPS works with our partners to help maximize the impact of their humanitarian development and peace initiatives, all in support of the Sustainable Development Goals. We work to build resilience, mitigate the impact of disasters, and assist partners with responding, recovering, and building back better from crisis and conflict. We help reduce inequalities by enabling access to basic services for vulnerable communities, build the capacity of institutions and suppliers, and drive economic opportunities. We think innovatively and work efficiently so that the people of Africa can build a stronger future and governments can achieve peace and sustainable development. Now, the other thing I was seeing is some stats on food shortages and how, there's food shortages across Africa and Asia. And it's interesting how they've got to, they've got to break it all down before building it back better. And we've heard plenty of testimonies from people in America and people in Europe, from farmers, how they're getting checks from the government to not grow crops or to plow them under even.
Yeah, they love responding to crisis, right? And the key word is crisis. They need a crisis to respond to.
Yeah, so they create them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the build back better, you got a good point. They have to break it down, make it worse to build it back better, of course.
Of course. Then you need a savior, and keeping people desperate and in fear is the best way to keep them compliant.
Absolutely. It's a well-known fact. And every time I hear the word resilient or resilience, it's always a little bit of a bell for me because they seem to use that all the time. It's one of their, it words.
And it's one of those things, it's for who? Because it seems to not be for a lot of people.
Well, the no agenda jingle, build back better for someone else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who else has anything? This might be a shorter episode than normal, which is totally fine, but
I was just going to say, I always find it interesting to go to some of their own websites, like these UN NWO type websites. That's another one that I went to once, is UNNWO. It's probably .org. And it's interesting because that NWO means what you think it means,
New
right?
World Order. Yeah. It's right. It's right in your face, man.
And then
Absolutely
they've got
is.
these big blurbs about their sustainable goals, and they're pretty much all the same.
Yeah, and whenever I see or hear a new character that pops up that's like, for instance, the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, I had no idea we had a different one. They just seem to, they're so interchangeable. It's like they put some in a cupboard and then there's a new one comes out, But yeah, this guy, I've never seen him before in my life, but whenever someone like that pops up, I just always take their name to the WEF site. And not always, but generally you'll find some sort of a connection. If it's not their name directly, it'll be somebody that they work with or for or have worked with or whatever. So always worth doing. That's fun.
Yeah, and they don't seem to have any trouble projecting exactly what they want if you are able to break down and see through the language, through the the flowery wording. Just like WTF Forum or the WEF
World Economic Forum. Yeah.
Yes.
Our rival forum.
Our rivals,
Yeah.
our direct and subpar rivals. We are clearly
100
superior. Yeah.
100%. We
World
would,
economic fuck up.
We would like their funding, though. It would be great if we had their budget. But yeah, so they have their shit all over, like outlandish stuff. Like they posted the article, it's 2030. I own nothing. I have no privacy and I've never been happier. That came out in 2016. It's just out there.
And I'm eating the bugs. Yeah.
Yeah. And people will still tell you like crazy conspiracy. They're like, okay, they're saying it. It's right there. It's very obvious.
I think it comes back to the metaphor of the vampire that you have to invite across the threshold. They need your explicit, or well, explicit might not be the right word. They need your
Consent.
what's the word? Yeah, consent, but your implied consent, because they
Right.
told you. They told you what they were going to do, and you didn't stop them, so you consented.
They have very tricky ways of getting that implied consent, and in ways that we're not aware of, and it's really stretching it because I don't consent, and most people don't really.
And this is I'm glad you brought that up, because this is something that I have been mulling over, because I do think there is something to that trope that the vampire must be invited in for sure. However, I feel like that could be applied to Operation Warp Speed. But I've been thinking about, well, what happens if they go with what they have kind of been forecasting, like an aerosol warp speed, or something like that, right? So there is no opportunity for consent in that way. So if they truly are held to that standard by either something here in the material world or something to do with their religion, their deal with the devil that they have made, I don't really see how that would fit in any way, because no one would have an opportunity to consent, if they go aerosolized with
They
that.
already aerosolize poison for us through pesticides and herbicides and stuff like that. though.
Sure.
Well, and you're consenting to breath. Nobody's got a gun to your head. You could just stop breathing, Ashley.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
See, it gets tricky in that regard.
That helps your carbon offset.
It does. So my score is going to go through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah. Sequester your own carbon. It's the final solution.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cut down trees and bury them. Bill Gates.
Yeah, and put up a whole bunch of technology that doesn't work.
Right.
And
The
it's
wind
disposable
turbines,
and
as Stella has talked a lot about.
Yeah.
And
at
have
least
you
it's
seen
stimulating
those,
the economy.
have you seen those bullshit algae tanks that they suggested putting up in cities because they don't have enough trees? It's literally
Oh my god.
it looks like an aquarium. I got to see if I can find it. An aquarium that it's just full of algae.
Instead of
sorry,
just
Dave.
not poisoning the oceans and letting the algae do its thing there, try to make some fake miniature version of it.
Yeah, they can do so much better.
Yeah, I'm
than
going
nature.
to. No, I haven't vetted this, but I'm dropping the link here. It's just so stupid. It's just so. It's such a stupid concept. Mike, do you want to pull that up?
On it.
Sure, thank you.
Yep. Here you go. Oh, don't want to subscribe. Oh, isn't that appealing? That's the
What's the
ugliest fucking
purpose?
thing I ever saw.
It's
What's the
liquid
purpose?
trees, Stella. It's liquid trees, so that
Is it
they
just for
can
aesthetics?
provide an alternative to actual trees in urban areas.
Oh my lord.
Wow.
Is it
Lord.
completely closed to the air? Like, it doesn't even make sense.
That's so stupid. Yes, it's very stupid.
I'm sure it runs on electricity. It's probably
Yeah.
got some oxygenation pump
They use
going.
way more carbon to make that thing than it'll ever
course.
offset.
It's so fucked up. It's just like they do with everything else, you know. They steal the real. They sell you the fake and still steal
Yeah.
the real, as
Oh my God.
James Evan Pilato says.
JEP.
Yeah.
And replace it with something completely synthetic. They're just trying to
This-
get God out of the equation.
This right here is
Right.
kind of telling. So it says trees are essential for maintaining the ecological balance and improving air quality in urban areas. However, planting and maintaining trees in cities can be a daunting task. Trees need adequate space, water, and nutrients to grow, which is often a challenge in cities within limited space resources.
So I
it's
have
like,
the perfect solution, guys. Let's build an aquarium and maintain an aquarium full of algae that costs actual resources. And that'll be a replacement for trees because we don't want to use resources maintaining trees, and like they require watering and stuff like that. So it's a little too much. But the aquarium does have water, and it will have to be filled up with water, but that's totally different. And don't ask me about that.
And nutrients and oxygen. I mean, it's not there's no such thing as a closed cycle, you know?
Yeah, I'm wondering how long it's going to take before they put a tap onto the side of it, and that's where you can get your water.
No, Stella, your water is coming
Wash down the
from
bugs.
recycled shit.
Yeah.
I hope some guerrilla
yes.
gardener or something just throws some catfish in there and starts raising them.
Hell
Or
yeah.
a brick
Crocodile.
through the window.
Well, I mean, that's
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a client who is very intrigued by this idea. There are these like shipping container farms that are like vertical farming operations within a shipping container, and they cost like $100,000. And he's brought it up to me a couple times, and every time I try to delicately be like, look, if you want to invest $100,000 in something, invest it in my company, not some piece of shit like, you know, totally unnatural food production system. Like, we live in Indiana with fertile soil and good sunshine. Why are you gonna spend all this money on something that is so over the top high tech when literally, you know, you're trying to grow food in the dark when we have perfectly good sun and soil? Like, it's not, you're not gonna beat Mother Nature at this game. It's
Yeah,
not
it would
gonna
probably
happen.
make sense in somewhere like Alaska or something.
Sure,
but,
sure. Or in the desert, or, you know, there's places it might make sense, but not in fucking the Midwest, you know, not here.
Gee, that's not a bad business. You should go get a few shipping containers and set them up into vertical gardens and sell them if that's what they're getting for them, because you can buy a shipping container here for a couple of grand.
Yeah, well, they do. They have
Empty
a
one.
whole lot of tech in them. It's
Right.
it's an impressive piece of tech, but it's just not practical for this area. So I'm like,
Good for mushrooms.
get Rob Breezy in on that job.
yeah.
So you know how we always joke about this climate change nonsense being a religion? There is an actual religion called Earthism, and we should delve into that. I'm trying to find a video on it. I'll keep looking, but you'll go ahead.
Yeah, while you do that, I wanted to tell Stella that I wasn't just making that up, that that Bill Gates wants us to drink the shit water.
Oh no, I have heard that before. Yeah. I was under the impression there were a number of towns already doing that.
Well, and in cities, yeah, it is. My understanding is that it's water treatment, right? So they take the water and they treat it with a whole bunch of shit, including fluoride and chlorine and everything else, and they send
Everyone's
it back.
antibiotics and yummy.
And their
and
antidepressants.
and also they,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And also they're spraying the crops with it too, I believe. Is that right?
Sure,
I don't
why
know.
not? You know.
This is why I go to an artesian well for my drinking water. It's like it comes straight out of the ground from 1,000 feet down. If you go to findaspring.com, you can often, depending on where you're at, you can find a natural spring somewhere in your area, buy a few 5-gallon, water container jugs, and take responsibility for your own fucking drinking water. Don't drink that shit out of the tap if you can help it.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah,
friend
and
who's bought 9 acres, and he's got one of those on it.
And take a lighter with you and make sure it doesn't light first. I've seen that happen a few times. Is that because of the fracking?
Yeah, that's a thing with fracking for sure. Yeah.
So is there any around your area, Mike?
No, that's pretty much all up in like the Dakotas and Canada mostly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're worried about here with the fracking. I haven't really heard much about it lately, but there's been many fights. Yeah, because we've got the artesian water basin, which is under threat. Sort of gone by the wayside, all that chat.
Mm-hmm. There's Ashley's boom mic again.
Sorry, I thought I was
Boing.
on Sorry,
You're
I
good.
thought I was
You're
on
good.
mute. I have tried to be aware of it.
Yep.
I might have to-
I'm just
She's
being
got
Adam
cats
Curry.
wandering around everywhere.
I might have to start sourcing water for brewing from my buddy with his artesian well.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I exclusively use the spring water with my compost tea concentrate because it's got bacteria and fungal components to it. I don't want chlorine and fluoride killing off all the good shit in my compost tea. So yeah, it really does matter, especially if you're trying to garden with it.
Can you talk about compost tea? Oh, Ando did find the video too. But before we go to that,
Yeah, I mean, compost tea is pretty cool stuff. You can make it or you can buy concentrates, which is what I do because it's but I use something called Garrett Juice Plus. And there's a few different products, different like fish emulsions, and the stuff I use has some fish, some horticultural molasses, like I said, like fungal and bacterial inoculant, and a few other things, probably worm castings, all kind of boiled down into a concentrate. You put 3 or 4 ounces into a 2-gallon spray bottle, and you just shoot it all over your plants. And a lot of people don't realize, but plants can soak up nutrients from the foliage. So it's what's called a foliar feed. It's kind of like a little boost. I use it kind of in conjunction with a granular fertilizer. But if you really want to get crazy and make your own compost tea, there's a really cool setup. A guy named Brian Norton that I've met at a conference. He invented this contraption using like a big trash can with some PVC pipes, and I forget what he calls it, but essentially he gets a vortex going. I think he calls it a vortex brewer, and he'll just take a big like tea bag of worm castings and sit it in the side of this vortex brewer, and he turns on the water pump and it starts a vortex, and you just let it spin for like 12 hours and soak up all that worm casting good shit, goodness, whatever, and then you spray it directly on your plants or pour it in the soil, and it's a good natural fertilizer. So that's a quick rundown of compost tea. But
it's cool.
I make
Very cool.
I make all my own compost tea. I've been doing it for ages. I usually have something like, if I pull out the weeds, for instance, which I tend to leave a lot of the weeds, like the dandelions and that, because I'm happy for them to spread. Clover, I actually seed it. So yeah, anything like that. If it's not seeding, I'll put it into a big bucket and leave it for 3 months, 6 months, what have you. And that's what I use all the time. And the other thing I use for potassium. No, phosphates is all the banana skins, the organic banana skins. I just stick them into one of those, netty fruit bag things that you get oranges in and stuff, and just hang it in like a bucket or a glass. It's actually a big glass bottle I just got from the tip shop. Just hang it there, and that's my, for when things are flowering or fruiting, they prefer that to nitrogen. So yeah, I just make all my own stuff. I never buy fertilizer.
Stella, remind me, I'll send you the plans for this vortex brewer. I think the idea is, instead of letting it soak for like weeks or months, you get the vortex going and it oxygenates it, and you can get that same effect a lot quicker. So
oh yeah, it sounds like it speeds it up heaps. And there's also something about spinning in a vortex. Like my friend she's crazy about trying all these different things for her body, and at the moment she's doing this water vortex thing, and it's like the restructuring the water and all that kind of thing. I haven't gone into it fully myself, a little bit on the fence about it, how it works, but she swears by it. She's also got this really awesome machine. I've got a photo of it, I'll post in the forum, and it does run off electricity, unfortunately, but it's like a cube, probably a meter by a meter by a meter, and it creates water out of thin air. It's really amazing. And it tastes beautiful and pure. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I like your birds.
That's the currawongs.
Yeah, it's morning over there, you can tell.
Are those
It's
wild
actually-
or are those in your house?
Oh no, they're wild. I would never cage a bird again.
Nice.
It's 10 to 2 in the afternoon, but they start up about 4:45. They usually wake me up.
That's cool. Well, anything else before we wrap her up?
Well, you want to talk about Earthism a little bit? I got
Yeah,
you a
you
link
got
in the
you
chat.
got something.
Yeah.
Oh, is
Yep.
that? Oh, did I already pull it up? Oh yeah, here it is. Just a second. The wonderful world of Earthism. How nice is that?
There's a comment, a couple of comments actually in the YouTube. Thanks for watching, everyone, or listening.
Hell yeah. You
You
want to read them?
Yeah, sure. This is going back a little bit. Sean O'Connor says, my comment on Instagram when this dropped, talking about Tanner, on Tanner's page was, can't wait to see his last video on VidMax.
Yeah, I saw that. Actually, he's the fella that was at the No Agenda meetup and tuned in for our show. Yeah.
What is VidMax?
Yeah, Sean.
VidMax is where all the violent, nasty shit goes, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I didn't know that either.
So he's basically insinuating, his last video is going to be of him getting killed.
Yeah, by the sounds of it. And there's another one, Werj.co, W-E-R-J. Just got here. Is the Vortex Brewer the thing that Scramblin made?
Yeah. Brian Norton, otherwise known as Scramblin. He's got a show called Scramblin University. He's a really cool dude. Hung out with him at the Self-Reliance Fest a couple, I guess a year ago or so. In fact, I think that...
Wasn't that just this weekend? It was yesterday, right?
Yep.
In Tennessee somewhere.
Yep. It's a cool event.
And shout out to Worm, my buddy who made that comment. He's there right now.
Is he? Right on.
Yep.
Well, hey.
And so, yeah, it was Scrambling. And he's been on my Friends Hate Freedom.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, he's a good dude. I've been wanting to get him on Easy Peasy, just haven't made it happen. But he's kind of a mad inventor type in the permaculture space. And yeah, that Vortex Brewer is a really cool design. He basically put it together with all bits and bobs you can get at Home Depot for like $150. So it's pretty cool. The community is small and strong. I love it. All right.
Yeah.
Should we play the video here, or any other comments you want to read, Stella?
No, I was just going to say, yes, I would definitely be interested in that Vortex plan. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'll see what I can find for you and send it your way. All right, I'm going to play this. So, the wonderful world of Earthism. It says, it's time to love and bless and honor planet Earth. Are you ready? As R. Buckminster Fuller. Whoa, this is... Hold on. Is it all written stuff?
Yeah.
Do I have to read the whole thing?
So
maybe just mute it.
Sorry, we went in
Yeah.
Rye. I've never seen it. Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
it looks like it's just words. Damn, I thought I was getting something other than just a damn script.
Well,
Sorry.
maybe Ando, this might be worth covering next week or something if you want to do a little digging and find us a couple of well here
Yeah,
okay,
it sounds
here we go.
good. Yeah, I want
As a teaser, this is apparently the definition of Earthism. It says Earthism is not simply a set of ideas, but it is a new paradigm, a different way of being in the world, and a new, more conscious and sustainable way of living in balance and harmony with all of life. Preserving and restoring the health of the earth is of primary importance. I can't disagree with any of that. But when you take it and make it like a religion,
It should just be a way of life, like an everyday common way of life, really.
Right. The simple way of putting it would be like restoration agriculture or permaculture, right? Like we don't, you start putting isms on the back of it and it starts sounding culty. It's like one of my favorite quotes from any movie, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He says, I'm not a fan of any ism, right? I can't remember the whole quote, but essentially he's just like, yeah, fuck isms, and I suppose that could even go for things like anarchism, right? Even I can be too dogmatic about things. So anywho, yeah, do a little digging into that, Ando. See how culty it seems, and we'll take it. We'll talk about it another time.
Maybe we'll have
Yeah, it
to
sounds
send
sweet.
them for some reconditioning.
Yeah.
Well,
Some
I think I must be
formal
an earthist by
re-education.
nature.
Yeah.
I mean, you just plant stuff, you don't drop stuff, and just
Yeah.
live life.
Grow plants and put your
Grow
garbage in
plants,
the
don't
bin.
hurt anyone.
Yeah.
Pretty simple, really.
So I want to say my favorite ism is ism can't. That's America's sweetheart right there.
He is America's sweetheart. He has been a little bit under the weather this week. He finally caught something which could have been a coronavirus, perhaps flu virus, but
Wait,
yeah,
he was trying to catch it, wasn't he?
for like the whole 3 years. Yeah, he was trying to get it
Yeah.
because originally he wanted to get 2 weeks off work and all that stuff. But
So,
now there
my-
is no benefit to him, so he's just had a raging migraine for like 5 days.
Yeah, he could have gotten it with pouring some orange crush onto one of those tests before. Apparently, something
Yeah, I
I learned
saw
about
that.
here at
I saw that.
the WTF Forum. We talked about it.
We did.
But yeah, so my sister has pretty much been trying to get on disability for years, and now she's proven that if you work hard enough at something, that you can finally achieve your goals. So I mean, it looks like ism's there at this point. So
He is there, yeah.
I see that Mike's about to play that clip of Ferris Bueller. Let's just say America's sweetheart is exempt from this.
Is that Matthew
Agreed.
Broderick or?
No, Justin, his handle is ismcant, and
Oh,
he
gotcha.
is known as America's sweetheart.
Love it. Love it. But yeah, here's that clip from Ferris Bueller. There's a little tidbit of wisdom here, I think.
It's not that I condone fascism, or any ism for that matter. Isms, in my opinion, are not good. A person should not believe in an ism. He should believe in himself. I quote John Lennon, "I don't believe in Beatles, I just believe in me." A good point there. After all, he was the walrus. I could be the walrus. I'd still have to bum rides off of people.
Okay. Yeah. It's not that I condone fascism or any ism for that matter. Believe in yourself.
Looked like Ando's trying to say something. Well, if opening up this show with Israel and Palestine didn't get us the boot from YouTube, then playing copyrighted material might do the trick.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It was only about 10 seconds. I think we'll be
Working
all
on
right.
it.
Yeah. Is there a time limit with that? Like if it's under 20 seconds or something like that, you're okay? Or if it's copyrighted, they just get you right away sometimes?
Well, last week they just interrupted our stream for the whatever amount of time, but
Right.
they didn't boot us, so I think we're all right.
I think we
They
can claim
give you a little
education.
option to like get rid of it.
Mhm.
But is there
Yeah.
something wrong with my mic?
You glitched out on us for a minute there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think you can do it under educational purposes if you're sort of talking about it or something like that.
It's fair use. Fair use.
Hmm.
Well, I think maybe it's time to kind of wrap her up. I thought, let's end on one more funny. I just love this Fred Beyer guy, this Durf. So I'm just gonna play you. I'm just gonna play you one snippet of the cell phone gag because it's pretty good. So here you go.
Friends, but like she's like a single hoe. What should I do to get her out of it? Tell her to come down? You get your ass down here right now. You hear me? No? Okay, fine. She can play at that game. Okay. Look, we're all good. Wait, sir. Wait, it was my phone. Your phone's fine.
Fuck away from
Wait,
me.
I slid my phone. It wasn't
Get the
yours.
fuck away from
Okay,
me.
I'm sorry. Give me a hug.
Get the fuck out of here.
Give me a hug.
It's tight. But that's fine, because you know what that means, guys? That means I'm a classified old school prankster. If I was a prankster back in 2015, I would still got it. Miss, you.
All right, that's enough of that.
I'm sorry. Give me a hug.
Yeah, classified old school prankster, man.
I love how
it.
he pretends to struggle when the guy starts trying to put a hold on him.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
harmless.
It's, like not all YouTube pranksters are built the same. All right. Like got to separate the wheat from the chaff, and maybe the chaff gets a bullet here and there. I'm sorry. It's just how it goes on the streets. Durf gets it. So
Durf is a hugger, not a fighter.
Totally. Not a bully. He's not a bully. He is a clever prankster, not a bully. So there's that. But maybe we go ahead. Stella, you got something for us?
No.
I just heard like somebody had something.
No,
to
it was
say.
I was doing a little breathy laugh thing.
Well, let's just send it around the circle here. Like the last couple weeks, I think we've gone to 4 hours, like 2 weeks in a row. So we stuck within our normal parameter this time. 3 hours, primo time. Anything more, and we're really asking a lot of folks. So, anywho, I'm Mike the Polymath, Easy Peasy Podcast. If you want to find my links or find my book, go to easypeasy.ittybitty.tips, and I will pass it to Ashley. Actually, before I do that, shout out to OG Dadbod, who had to bounce. Check out his show, Whole Lot of Nothing, and I'll send it to Ashley.
I'll send it to Ashley. Ashley, how do we find the Union of the Unknowns?
Well, Endo, I'm glad you asked. You can find us at unionoftheunknowns.com. That's our Linktree page. All the many, many ways to get in touch with us, including the link to our Discord, and we would love to have you. And you can also find me managing the Unknowns Twitter page over at unknown. Wait. Sorry, at Union Unknowns over on X Twitter. I'll pass it on to Ando.
I am glad you asked. I'm Ando, Burn Babylon Burn, and the Doom Kitchen, libertylinks.io/the Doom Kitchen, and the Doom Kitchen at protonmail.com. Hello, Stella.
Hello. / the kitchen, just like Britney Spears. So yes, I could be found at Union of the Unknowns with my friend Ashley and several others every now and then, and occasionally on the Propaganda Report, just random pop-up shows which are fun. That's pretty much it. Regularly. And Bear Snare, how about y'all?
I'm Bear Snare at thebearsnare.com, and you can find my music and my podcast and all kinds of other stuff there.
Slash in the kitchen like Britney Spears. I like it, Stella Q. That was a good one. Well, hell yeah, another WTF Forum for the books. Thanks, y'all, for coming, those of you that were here live. And if you didn't listen to us live, what the fuck, man? Join us live, Come on. Yeah, what else you got to do on a Sunday night?
It's pretty fun.
It's pretty fun.
Or a Monday morning.
Or a Monday morning if you're in a different hemisphere. But, nowhere else will you get an in-depth dive into YouTube pranks and whatever the fuck else we talked about. Survival Island.
Algae tanks.
Only on the WTF Forum will you get such programming as this. We'll talk to y'all next time.